on how my ex cheated on me on his family vacation to Florida, started dating her 2 days later, and now they're engaged. I already know the whole hometown has probably been waiting for this story because once this happened to me, everyone knew it obviously happened because, hello, they started dating 2 days later and they just all knew. But I never once spoke about it because I was so embarrassed. I was not embarrassed that I got cheated on because, ladies, getting cheated on is not embarrassing for you. It's embarrassing for the man because at the end of the day, they're the ones that fumbled. Okay? I was so embarrassed because this happened to me now for the third time with the same girl. Yes, I'm talking, she was a simp. And I know I can't say this word out loud, so I'm going to have to cut that. But starting off, we're going to call her S, and we're going to call my ex X. So yes, as some background information, that we were a whole friend group. So my best friend was dating his best friend, and then there was just a few others of us. But that's just the main thing. But yeah, so it was perfect. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because I went to prom with my best friend, and me and X were hitting it off a few days before prom, but prom is where we really hit it off because, again, I don't know when me and this man started dating, but I just know it was sometime after prom. Well, long and behold, at prom, I see S walk up to X, and his friend told me, was like, yeah, just so you know, they have hooked up, and it was 3 weeks ago. Oh my God. First of all, I wasn't even surprised because she was a walking STD, and I know that she's been with almost every guy at the school, whatever grade they were in. She was always a part of it because that's just the kind of person she was. So wasn't even surprised, but whatever. I was like, oh hell no, I want nothing to do with X because I'm not trying to catch nothing. So whatever, that obviously didn't stick. Me and him start dating. But what I do know is 3 weeks into dating this man, I find out from his friend, oh, did X tell you that he's going on vacation with S? Wait, come again? So long and behold, he didn't want to tell me because he already knew how I felt about her. So he didn't want to tell me because he already knew what the fuck was going to happen. So whatever. I end up finding out from the friend. So then I'm texting him. I'm like, you have some explaining to do. And now, no, guys, he was not going one-on-one vacation. Basically, X's cousin, absolute best friends. Absolute. I'm talking damn near sisters with S. Mind you, I don't like the friend either because, mind you, one of the times, and they probably don't even know this to this day that I ever found out about this, but I did. S was home wrecking one of my relationships, was at the cousin's house in the bathroom. She was on the bathroom floor with my ex while her friend was with my ex's best friend in her bed. I don't care. You didn't personally home wreck my relationship, but you're just as bad. You're fucking gross. Should have been red flag number 1 for me. Every time I would try to bring up I know you're gonna cheat on me, which yes, maybe I did manifest this, which is where I learned from my high school mistakes. Obviously, you have to live and learn from horrible things that happen to you, but I learned you gotta give yourself time to heal. I'm talking, I literally started dating this man 5 months after I found out my ex had a second phone. This man had a second phone. I'm talking, I found so many girls in that second phone that I was getting cheated on. More than 2 hands. Okay, we just got to put it out there. So obviously I opened up to X about this, which was my mistake because he used that second phone tactic to actually cheat on me in Florida, which we're going to get into that in a second. But again, so this man cried to me drunk, cried to his mom, cried to his friends about how he would never want to hurt me because I'm so beautiful and I don't deserve the pain that I've gone through and blah, 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 blah. Put it on his dead dad's grave. He would not cheat on me. Oh my God. Do you not give a flying fuck about your family, bro? So all that stuff happened. So of course I'm getting all this reassurance. I'm feeling a little bit better. Well, then S goes up to one of my friends in the high school bathroom and is like, please tell Kylie, nothing is gonna happen with X. Nothing is gonna happen with X. I know she's probably worried. So my friend's like, you need to tell her that yourself. And obviously I have this girl blocked on everything. Literally everything. I'm talking, I literally think I had her blocked on school email too. That's how serious this shit was because I want nothing to literally do with you. When I don't like someone, you will not have access to my life unless you take the time out of your day to make a second account to see my stuff, or you take the time out of your day to search it up on one of your friends' phones that's not blocked. It's getting in the way. So again, she literally had no access to my life. So I ended up unblocking her off of Snapchat. She texted me. She's like, I'm so sorry with what happened with, your previous situations that I home wrecked. She didn't necessarily say that, but she basically was just like, I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry for everything. Like, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen. So it got to the point where I was just so, like, insecure about this trip that he just wasn't even gonna go. He was like, I'm not gonna go, or you can come with. I'm like, I don't want to be in a room with S and the friend. I quite frankly don't want to. Plus, I work, and why the fuck would I ever choose a man over money? You got me. You gotta be kidding me if you think I'm ever going to choose a man over money. So I was like, no. And then I was like, I'm not gonna have you miss out on your vacation because of my insecurities. Like, no, girl, just go. Like, I already went into this trip knowing I was gonna get cheated on. So I think that's why I just simply just didn't A, talk about it, or B, just like didn't really care. But we'll get into that. Oh, because I did care I got cheated on, but you'll see what I mean. Basically, here comes the trip. I was a team member at the time. I was opening up saute. So I'm talking, I was cutting veggies. I was doing stuff like that. This was before open. I have both my AirPods in. He calls me while he's at the airport. I'm talking, I could hear S so loud in the AirPods. I don't know if it's AirPods that just make everything louder, but I'm talking, I could hear her louder than anyone else in the airport. I'm talking, I couldn't even hear the mom this loud, the sister this loud, the brother this loud. I couldn't hear nobody this loud, bro. So I'm immediately like, why is she so loud? I'm instantly tweaking. Oh my god. So that's like, okay, my phone's like overheating and this video is getting way too long. So I'm gonna make a part 2 when my phone cools down, and just because this video is also getting really long. So yeah.
This is a story about how I almost died at 5 weeks postpartum from a septic infection due to medical negligence. Let's go. I do want to start off with a trigger warning. If you are pregnant, newly postpartum, generally just do not like hearing about medical things. I will be going into quite a bit of detail, so just take that as you will. I have all my notes here from when it was happening. Yeah, there's a lot. So we'll start at the beginning. I had my son July 5th, 2025. I had a very normal pregnancy, no complications. Aside from being in labor for 2.5 days, I had a great labor. Again, no complications, everything was fine. I started breastfeeding right away, and the first week was perfect. He latched perfect, everything was good. And then by week 2, things started to go downhill. And this is where I'm going to add some context into some comments that were made to me that were not red flags until after everything happened. So first off, the midwife clinic that I was at, it was a team of midwives. So pretty much every time you had an appointment, you saw or talked to a different midwife. And in between your appointments, if you had an emergency or needed anything, you would just call their emergency line. And they were very specific to make you understand that this is for emergencies. And if you were not calling for an emergency, you were bugging them, basically. So there were already a couple times before everything happened that I needed to call the emergency line, and I almost felt bad for calling. One of the times was when I was having problems with his latch, and my nipples were raw. They were bleeding. I was in so much pain, so I needed the prescription for the steroid cream that you can get to help them heal. I had to call 3 different times, and each time I talked to the same midwife. We're going to call her midwife 1. I had to call 3 times, talk to her each time to say, can I please get this prescription? Can you please send it in? Please, please, please. And she kept forgetting, kind of during the same time period, like the same week 2, week 3-ish. I'm having all these problems with his latching. I'm calling the midwives. And I talked to another midwife, we'll call her midwife 2. She's saying these comments like, well, his latch was fine before, so I don't know what's wrong now. Helpful, thank you. And what I know now, after seeing doctors after all this happened, is I had an oversupply of milk. So I was so engorged from the very beginning. That is why he couldn't latch properly. My boobs were rock hard to the point where he could not latch. And I didn't know this at the time. First time mom, I don't know what's going on. And the midwives keep telling me, well, we don't want to do anything to risk reducing your milk. We don't want to risk you losing your milk supply. So it'll even itself out eventually. Okay, great. So after about 2 weeks of breastfeeding him, I'm finally done. I call it. I start pumping. This is where the bad stuff starts. July 26th, 2025, I feel the start of a clogged milk duct right under my arm. It's not so bad at first, it's painful. I'm Googling, I'm figuring out what I need to do. I'm doing all the things, I'm pumping as normal, I'm icing, medication, whatever. 4 days later, July 30th, it's still not resolved. It's really, really painful. So I call the emergency line and I talk to midwife 1. So I tell her I've had a clogged duct for this many days. It's not getting better. It's really, really painful. It's sore. It's getting hot. All the things. She asked me if I had a fever. I didn't. So she said, it's not mastitis. Care instructions she gave me was to take hot showers, do aggressive massage to the point where it's going to hurt, but I need to keep doing it, and to continue taking ibuprofen round the clock. She also told me she was going to get a lactation consultant to come to my house to see me. She never did. It is now August 1st, 2025. The clogged duct has still not resolved. So it's August 1st. The clogged duct has still not resolved. I am in so much pain. It is hot, rock hard, just the most painful thing I have ever experienced. And I am getting less than an ounce of milk out while pumping this breast. I call the emergency line again and I talk to midwife 3. I am bawling my eyes out to her. I am in so much pain. I'm starting not to be able to produce enough milk to feed my baby, so I'm losing it. She proceeds to tell me not to do heat, not to do aggressive massage, but to do ice and light massage, and to continue taking ibuprofen round the clock. She asked if I had a fever. I still did not. So she said, it's not mastitis, you don't need antibiotics. She also said she would try and get a lactation consultant to come to my house and see me, but I did already have an in-person appointment at the clinic scheduled for August 5th, so she said I would be fine to wait for that. And now, hindsight is 2020. During all of this, I knew something was wrong. I knew it cannot be this painful. Something has to be wrong. There is no way a clogged duct is like this. I even remember talking to multiple of my friends that I knew that had had babies, and they were all saying, you still have that clogged duct? That's crazy. I am a first-time mom. I had never done this before. I didn't know what anything was supposed to feel like. I knew breastfeeding could be hard. I knew there was going to be challenges, and my care team is telling me, you're fine, it's going to resolve. So what else am I supposed to do but believe them? So it's now August 5th. I am still in incredible pain. I cannot even hold my baby on my chest. I am in so much pain. So we go to our appointment. We see midwife 4, who I have not talked to yet through all of this. He takes one look at my boob and is immediately concerned and says, I should have been on antibiotics weeks ago. So she wrote me a prescription for antibiotics and sent it to the pharmacy in our hometown because we were about to go out of town for 10 days. And she told me, take these antibiotics. Within 2 to 3 days, you should start feeling a whole lot better. Spoiler alert, I did not. And I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to make a part 2. Okay, part 2 of how I almost died at 5 weeks postpartum from a septic infection caused by medical negligence. We're getting into the good stuff now. So it is now August 9th, 2025. We're now in our hometown staying with family. I've been on the antibiotics for 3 days and I have no improvement. I am getting significantly worse. Finally, it's getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I have chills, I feel ill, I have a fever, and my mom is like, that's it, we're going to the hospital. So we go to the hospital. I wait in the ER for 8+ hours. During this time, I have to go to the yucky hospital bathroom multiple times and pump. That was an experience. We finally see a doctor. I tell him my concerns. I think I have an abscess, an infection, whatever. He ultrasounds the area where I had the clogged duct. There's a lump there. You obviously know that that is where the clog was, but does not bother to look at the rest of my breast. This is important to remember for later. So he ultrasounds the area where the clog originated, and he says, yep, looks like you have an abscess. It'll be a super in-out procedure. We will drain it, put you on different antibiotics. You will start feeling a whole lot better. So he drained it. He prescribed me oral and IV antibiotics, and then told me to come back the following Tuesday. So that's like 3 days later, for reevaluation. So jump forward to the following Tuesday, August 12th. I've been on the IV antibiotics for 4 days and still no improvement. I wait in the ER again for 6 to 8 hours to get reassessed. I see another male doctor who was visibly uncomfortable that the issue was with my breast. He examines my breast and goes, yeah, it probably needs to be drained again. We are going to bring in an actual radiologist this time to do a full ultrasound to make sure we get it all. So the radiologist starts ultrasounding my entire breast, and he is so silent, so appalled at what he is seeing on his screen. He tells me my entire breast is filled with pus and infection. So he goes ahead and he pulls out probably like 2 big ass syringes of pus and infection from my breast, and he says, that's about all I can do. You're gonna have to have a surgical drain put in. Because that's exactly what you want to hear at 6 whatever weeks postpartum. So they sent me home with pain medication and told me I should be hearing from the surgeon's office, and if I don't hear from them by like noon in 2 days time or whatever, here's their number and to call them. Well, by the next day, we haven't heard anything. My family is getting fed up, and they're trying to call the office and no one's answering. They're trying to call the radiologist at the hospital, literally calling anyone they can to get information. And during this time, my skin on my breast, right beside my nipple, has formed this like bubble. Looks like my skin is about to pop. So it's still August 13th. It's like the evening. We go back to the ER. I say to them, I've been here, blah, 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 blah. This is what's happening. I now have a spot on my boob that looks like it's gonna frickin' pop. And I didn't have to wait this time. They immediately put me in a room. We waited there for, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes. And the same male doctor that we had just seen the previous day comes in. So he is at least able to see that, like, yeah, this has progressed. This doesn't look good. So he said, I can go home for the night and to come back at 8 a.m. and they are going to put the drain in. It is now the morning of the next day, August 14th. I wake up at 4 a.m. to pump. I go out into the living room. I lift up my shirt to pump. My boob has popped. So I wake up my mom. I tell her, we gotta go to the hospital right now. I wake up my husband, tell him we're leaving because he has to stay with our son. We go back to this freaking ER again, and I go, hi, me again. My boob has popped now. So they immediately take me in, get me in a gown, get me on a gurney. I lay on this gurney in a hallway until 12 p.m. A couple nurses have come to see me. They've put me on an IV. They've given me food. Other than that, I'm just laying in the hallway. Finally, 12 p.m., a doctor comes and talks to me, a female doctor. And she tells me what they're going to do, and they're going to move me up to maternity so that the nurses know what they're dealing with. My baby can come and be with me. I'll have my own room. Things will be good. They move me up to my own room. We're waiting to get this drain done. Like, it's almost emergent now. Guess what? The requisition kept getting lost. They kept calling radiology and they were going, we don't know. Finally, at like 3:30 p.m., the nurses come in and they say, it's happening. We're getting the drain. We're getting you ready. We're going right now. Before all of this happened, when I was talking to the doctor, I said, can I please be sedated for this procedure? And they told me this is not usually a procedure that they do sedation for. You know, it's very straightforward. They usually just do local numbing. And I was like, I don't think you understand what I've been dealing with for the past 2 weeks. I'm done. Put me out. So they finally were like, yeah, okay, we can give you like a light twilight sedation. And thank God I got sedated, because what happened next would have scarred me for life, more than everything I already had. So they take me to get the drain, they put me out. To me, by the time I woke up, it felt like it had been like 10-20 minutes. My husband has told me that he was like waiting for updates for like 2 hours. When I'm starting to come to, I can feel like the doctors and nurses over me, and I can feel this like aggressive, dry rubbing across my chest, and it's them with dry gauze just like cleaning up. Because they told me when they went to put the drain in, the pressure from pushing the drain in caused my boob to completely explode outwards. Yeah. Go to part 3.
So it has been 4 months since I found out my ex-coworker has been stalking and harassing me for a year. So I was debating whether or not I wanted to tell this story, but after talking with my lawyer, I decided that I want to tell it because it is my story, and I just feel like it's something that people should be aware is a possibility, that it could happen to you. Basically, in March 2025, I started a part-time job, and I worked with this individual for 4 consecutive weekends, where he was training me on our job. After that, we only had 1 overlapping shift together again. That next overlapping shift was in July. So between March and July, I never saw him. We never talked, like nothing. July, he was in the studio. I was in the studio. Literally was just like, oh, hey, what's up? That was the extent of it. However, that day he actually followed me on Instagram, and I accepted the request just because I was like, okay, whatever, like we're coworkers, it's fine. No big deal. Apparently it was a big deal. He started sending me memes and DMs, and I would kind of like them or haha at them. I was trying to be nice again because we were coworkers. I was like, I'm going to see this person, whatever. I'm trying to be nice. But then it got to be too much, and he was asking me, how's your day going? He was trying to start these conversations, and when I wouldn't respond, he would unsend the message and then resend the message, and I'd be like, oh my God. So I just didn't respond, and it got to the point where I actually blocked him. After I blocked him, he started emailing me to my personal email account from his personal email account. And I then had to block him on Gmail. And I thought that was it. I thought it was over. I was like, okay, whatever. We have no overlapping shifts from now until when I left. I literally didn't see him again. We never talked again. It was fine. I left the job in October. In February, I found out there were some rumors started by him that we were a couple, and it ended badly, and that's why I left my job. That's not why I left, obviously. I put an end to those rumors. I was like, this is absolutely not true. That never happened. I left because it was just, exhausting. I wanted my weekends back. Like, I just didn't need a part-time job anymore. So that's why I left. And again, I put the rumors to rest, and I thought that was it. In March 2026, I was on my laptop, which I never am, but I was on my laptop checking my email, doing things for my sister's baby shower, when all of a sudden I saw an email come through from his name. I was like, that's weird. I opened it, and when I opened it, it was like, I'm in Hoboken, please come downstairs, which I was very confused by. And then when you're on Gmail, it says recover past emails. So I clicked recover past emails, and about 15 emails from that weekend alone popped up, all being like, I'm outside, I'm downstairs, I'm looking for you, where are you? Please come talk to me, I miss you, I love you, blah, blah, blah. I was shocked because I had no idea that this was happening. I opened the email on my phone to show my family, and immediately it deleted itself. And that's when I realized there's something in settings where if you block someone on Gmail on your phone, your iPhone, it won't actually stop them from sending you emails, but it'll automatically delete it. So I went into settings and I turned that off, and then I went and found all of the emails that he has sent me in the past month. Unfortunately, Gmail does like automatically delete after 30 days if it's in your trash, and since these emails were being automatically deleted because they were blocked, I didn't have anything past that 1 month, but I did have everything that he had sent in that 1 month, and there were a lot. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but there were a lot, and they were all the same. They were, you know, you looked great today, and please come downstairs, I miss you, I love you. These very extravagant, over-the-top emails. I reported it to the police. They told me they couldn't really help me. I reached out to about 5 lawyers. Half of them told me they couldn't help me, until finally I did find one who was able to help me with the situation. She took care of it. I love my lawyer. She's amazing. The reason I'm telling this story, it's been a few months. I've been in therapy. I'm good. You know, those first couple of weeks especially, it was really hard for me, like mentally, and it's crazy that like somebody that I knew in my atmosphere was doing this. And it was just also crazy how nobody wanted to help me, and how long it took me to find somebody who could help me. And I'm also telling this story just like for awareness. Like, you don't know who you're working with. Be extra careful. You know, make sure you put up those boundaries. And yeah, if anybody wants more information, just let me know. But that's my story of how my coworker stalked me. And thankfully I have moved. I'm in a different state. He has no idea where I live. And I have not heard from him since the lawyer took care of it. So I think it has blown over. But that's my story.
Like a year and a half ago, I found out I was being cheated on by my significant other of 7 years.
Hey, sweetness.
Yeah. Get ready with me while I tell you guys how I found out. Oh, what the? Picture this. It's December 16th, 2024. Christmas festivities are in full swing. My friend is in town, and a couple of us are hanging out, going to go look at some Christmas lights, and let's just say, like, every single event that day, some shit went wrong. Like, some shit went wrong. Very first thing, I'm leaving my friend's apartment complex. I go to pick my friend up from her apartment. We're leaving the complex. This fucking Tesla decides it's a good idea to back up into my car. Yes! And I'm like, okay, first of all, like, don't you guys have, like, 360 cameras? What's the excuse for that? So the guy, you know, gets out of his car. He's like, he barely even apologizes. He's kind of just like, what happened? Like, what happened? And I'm like, you backed into me. Like, what do you mean? And so I'm like looking at my car, and it doesn't look like there's anything. And so I'm like, it's okay. Like, whatever, let's just go. And so we leave. As we're driving to go pick up our friend, somebody literally tries to run us off the road. I don't know if they were drunk, if they were doing it intentionally, but it was terrifying. And then just to put the cherry on top, when we got there and parked, I like scraped the bottom undercarriage of my car. Mind you, it's a Gemini moon. My ex, Gemini. Like, if you know, you know. You don't know, you don't know. Like, that's all I can say. So anyway, we're at the spot, we're eating, and we decide we want to go look at the Christmas lights. And so we park at the Pizza Hut, and we go inside to use the bathroom. We come back out. We're literally in the parking lot. We're sitting in, like, our friend's car. We get up, we get out of the car, and we notice that there's this guy putting a fucking boat on my car. A boat! And so I run up to him, and I'm like, sir, like, I haven't left the parking lot. And he was like, you were walking towards the exit. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't take the exit. And he's like, well, the boot's already on your car. He made me pay $100. After a little back and forth, of course, I wasn't gonna let him off the hook that easily. No! But I did end up giving him $100 so that he would take the boot off, so. Anyway, at that point, I was like, I really don't care to see these lights anymore. I just want to go home. Like, I want to be with my partner and maybe get some sort of, like, comfort from that. I don't know. I don't know what my thought process was. I get home. It's like 11 p.m. This man, I know, jump scare, my ex's man, gives me his phone to show me our niece and nephew. Like, there's pictures in his family group chat of our niece and nephew. And so I'm looking at the pictures, and he goes to the other room. And I forgot to mention, he was in a bad mood when I got home. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to bed. So I'm laying in bed, he gives me his phone. I'm looking at the pictures and I exit out of the family group chat, right? And the first name that I see in his phone is Violet. That's ringing little bells in my head, because this man has a lot of girlfriends, but I never hear him talking about this girlfriend. I've maybe heard him talk about her one time, like months prior. So I get to snooping, obviously. I click on her name and I'm scrolling up. I'm not really seeing much. And then I'm like, wait, if I'm gonna do this, let me do this properly. I exit out, I go to his recently deleted, I bring back their conversation that obviously is in the recently deleted, and I scroll through that. I immediately see some very interesting things, but mind you, he's still in the other room. So I'm like, okay, let me exit out of this conversation, put the phone down, and I'm like, let me address this later. I just tighten the fuck up. Like, I'm like, nope. Not letting out any emotion right now, not letting this man see anything from me. I wait for this man to fall asleep. It's like 12:30 and I can't wait any longer. Like, I think he's just fallen asleep, but I'm like, I didn't want to risk it initially, but now I'm like, okay, let me just take his phone and like go to my sister's bathroom. I'm like moving like spy style. There's like fucking lasers in the room. Like, I'm like flipping through shit. I get his phone, I take it to my sister's bathroom, and I immediately hit screen record, pull up the conversation, and I scroll through the entire thing. The entire conversation. Just scroll through it from top to bottom. It's about 4.5 minutes long, I think. And so then I am airdropping it to myself. I hear this man wake up. He walks to the door, knocks on it. Hello? No answer. So I'm like creeped the fuck out, because I'm like, why is this man not answering me? Like, he must be onto me. Like, why is he not answering me? I hear him go downstairs. I finish the airdrop and I call my sister. She's in her bedroom. So I'm like, hey, I need you to come to your bathroom, take his phone, and then when he comes back upstairs, I need you to go downstairs, put his phone somewhere. I'm really bad at multitasking. So we enact this plan. My sister hides the phone downstairs. I wait in the bedroom for him to come back up. Eventually he comes back up. He's got some food. He seems like he's still not in a good mood. I ask him, what's up? And he says, did you take my phone? And I said, what? Did you take my phone? No. Is it missing? I plugged it in and it's not there. Okay, well, did you check around downstairs? Yeah. Okay, well, do you want me to call it? Yeah, sure, can you call it? Okay. So I call it. He's checking for it. Eventually he goes downstairs, he finds it. I found it on the small couch. It's so weird, I don't remember putting it there. It's weird. Cause what do you want from me? Because if you want me to say something, you say something. Go ahead, tell me something. Oh, I don't know shit, so you go ahead and tell me. And that is how I found out I was getting cheated on. Now, how I confronted him, that's a completely different story. I waited for like 2 weeks. We ended up spending Christmas at different houses. Like, he went to his family, I went to my family, but like that was already planned out that way, so it was kind of a blessing. Bottom line is, trust your intuition, and some of y'all are just lesbians. Some of y'all are just lesbians, and you're going to have to accept that at some point. There's a reason you're not attracted to that man. There's a reason.
I had a scary Uber drive recently, and tell me if I'm overreacting. So my friend and I needed to leave a party around 3 o'clock in the morning, and we ordered an Uber. And it took the driver a while to accept, and when he finally accepted, it said he was like 25 minutes away. We were in the middle of nowhere in like a dark grassy field and just wanted to go home. So he starts making his way to us, and we noticed that it had said 25 minutes, and then we were sitting there and chit-chatting, and I looked down and it said like 31 minutes after a while. And I'm like, this is crazy. How is it longer than it was? So we started watching him on the map, and we realized that it was a pretty straight shot from where he was to where we were, but that he kept turning off of the road, turning around and going back the other way, and then coming back again and then doing it again. So I called him and I was like, hey, what's going on? Like, it looks like you keep turning around and you're not coming towards us. And he's like, oh, yeah. He sounded really off, maybe drunk or on drugs or something. And he was like, yeah, I have 2 phones and I'm using the GPS. Like, I'm coming. And this is where we probably should have just canceled the ride and just chose to wait longer for a new ride. But we were desperate for a ride at this point. So he starts coming towards us again. Same thing happens again. We realized that he made it like 10 minutes closer and he was only like 15 minutes out. And then all of a sudden he started going backwards again. So I call him again. I'm like, look, do you want us to like cancel the ride and get a new driver, or are you going to come and get us? He's like, no, I'm coming this time. I promise. Like, stay put. I'm on my way. So he finally gets to us. We notice that, he's getting closer and closer, and he pulls into the dark lot that we're in and gets out of his truck to open the truck door for us to get in. And at first I didn't think anything of it, and we get into the back of his pickup truck, and as soon as he closes the door, I realized that it was one of those trucks that you have to get out of the front seat and open your door in order to even open the door to the back. So at this point, we realized that we are trapped in the back of this Uber and we have no way to open our own car doors to get out. So that's another second red flag. And I look down at my Uber app and it says something about you have the option to record sound during your ride. Do you want to do that? Every part of me was screaming to do that. So I started hitting record on my phone so that the sound was recorded during our ride. Instead of turning around and going back the way that he just came from the paved road, he proceeds further into the dark field that we were standing in that has like a dirt road that cuts through it. He goes further into the field on the dirt road, telling us that he knows that there's another way out of this field and that he's been here before and to like trust him. And we keep going further and further into the field, and we finally come up to this really dark corner and there's a gate that's locked. And he's like, oh no, like this is where I knew how to get out. But now I don't know how to get back to where we came from. Like, we're lost. So he starts driving around this property. It's a big, dark, almost like a pasture. And he's off the dirt road. He's in the grass and he's just driving around. He's like, I have no idea how to get back to where we came from. So now at this point, we're freaking out. And he stops to look at like where he's at. And I noticed on his dash, he had his gas light on and it said 10 miles until empty. And we were about 20 miles from our destination. So I said to him, I was like, hey, it looks like you don't even have enough gas to get us to where we're supposed to go. Like, what's your plan there? And he didn't acknowledge me, didn't say anything at all. And he's like, I'm just lost, and just starts driving around again. So now we drove further and further into this property, and it looks like we're coming up to almost like a junkyard at this point. And me and my friends see this like trailer that says security on it, and we were like, hey, why don't you let us out and we will just run up to this security trailer and ask them for the best way to get back to the road. And he's like, yeah, I guess we could do that. So he stops the truck, opens the door, and lets us out to go to this security trailer. And immediately her and I know we're not getting back in that truck. So we go up to the security trailer and we're banging on the windows and all the lights are on, the TV screens are on, like somebody's supposed to be there, except nobody's there. So we're knocking and banging, and we just decide there's no way we're getting back in that pickup truck. So we make the decision to cancel the ride from my app and to run and hide, pretty much. So now we're in this junkyard where there's a bunch of like old shipping containers with like rusty tools and farm equipment and like all of this stuff. And we find a shipping container that the door is cracked open, and we open it, turn our phone brightnesses all the way down, close the door behind us, and we're like waiting for him to leave. And it takes him a while for him to leave. He stays there with his truck running even after we had canceled the ride. He gets back in his truck and starts driving around like really slowly, like around the area. And then we see another car approaching him, and it's a security car. And then he decides to leave. And as soon as I saw the security car, I flew out of that trailer, ran up to the trailer, or run up to the security guard. And I was like, we need help. Like, this guy is just up to no good. Like, something seemed really, really off. And anyway, the security guard ended up listening to our story, agreeing that something was definitely not right. And he waited with us, made sure that we were safe until we got a new Uber ride. But we ended up not making it back to our hotel until like 5 o'clock in the morning because there were no other Ubers on the road. And anyway, I don't know if it's just me, but something about that entire thing seemed off. There were probably 3 times that I should have gotten out of that situation. But I've never had a bad interaction like that with anybody in Uber. And I really wasn't prepared for something like that. Also, side note, I did report him through the Uber app because I'm pretty sure being on like empty in your gas and also having a vehicle where people can't get out of the back seat is not okay. So hopefully they did a little bit of investigating on him because something was just not right.
Hey guys, welcome to the spam account. If you know me in real life, no you don't. So I figured there was no better way to get us familiarized with each other than doing some story times. Hello. Because my life is genuinely insane and the amount of lore I have is diabolical. So one time when I was like probably 14, I don't know, middle school aged, I couldn't drive yet, I know that. I was hanging out with a group of my friends, and me and one of my friends were like, oh, we should have like a little sleepover tonight. So she calls up her mom and she's like, hey, can Lily stay the night? And I don't really know like what her reasoning was. I think like my friend had some sort of like cheer camp or like volleyball camp or something like that the next morning. She had something she had to do in the morning, so her mom was like, no, like we'll do it another night. So instead of being a good child and being like, okay, like we'll just plan on doing it another night, we waited until her mom fell asleep and I snuck in her bedroom window and we had us a little sleepover anyways. So one time me and a group of my friends got invited to this party, and the girl that was throwing it, one of my best friends, her cheating ex-boyfriend had just cheated on her with this girl that was throwing the party. If you can follow that. I know that was kind of confusing, but anyways, so she was throwing the party and we were like, we can't go to this party, like we can't do this to our friend. So I was like, if we don't get to have a good time, no one gets to have a good time. So I called the cops. The moral of that story is don't mess with my friends because I do not play like that. The funny part was after we called the cops, we sat there and looked at snap maps and looked at all of them in this big circle at this party and then sat and watched them scatter for like the next 30 minutes. It was the funniest thing I've ever done to this day. One summer, me and my best friend had been planning on going to the state fair all summer long. We were gonna bring her camper down there and stay the whole week and the whole weekend. Her boyfriend at the time that worked on the road was supposed to be getting back from Georgia the week before or the weekend before or something, so we were like, it's perfect, like he'll drive us down there, we can pull the camper, we'll stay all week. And then like the week before the state fair came around and her boyfriend ended up having to stay an extra week in Georgia, so he wasn't going to be back for the state fair. And my best friend was like, I don't want to go to the state fair without him, like blah blah blah. So instead of going to the state fair, we booked plane tickets and flew to Georgia the next day. Which, this was genuinely like the most ridiculous waste of money in hindsight because he literally came back the following Monday. I'm pretty sure we flew back either like, I think it was like Sunday morning, and he literally came back Monday. This next story takes place literally 3 or 4 months ago. So I'm at a Darty for St. Patty's Day, and I get a call from my dad. And he's like, what are you doing, LJ? And I'm like, Cody, it's St. Patty's Day, I'm at a party. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I was calling to see if you want to leave and go to Arizona in the morning. So I'm sitting there like weighing my options, and I'm like, how can I turn down going to Arizona? So I'm like, yeah, I'll go. What time are you wanting to leave? 3 a.m. And we're driving 20 hours straight through. And I'm like, okay. So I leave the Darty, go home, throw some clothes in a bag. I genuinely don't even know what I packed. Went to the bar until 1 a.m. because hello, it's St. Patty's Day. That's literally my holiday. They created that for me. And so I go to the bar until 1 a.m., drive an hour and a half to my dad's house, and then go straight from my dad's house, drive 20 some hours straight through to Arizona, spend a week in Arizona. And so then we get in the predicament of how am I going to get home? Because luckily I was on spring break this week, so I wasn't missing any school by being in Arizona, but my classes started next week, and my dad was going straight to Oklahoma from Arizona. He was not going back to Missouri. And another thing was, I realized I still hadn't gotten my real IDs. My whole plan was to fly home. So I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on there. Hello? So my whole plan was like, oh, like I'll drive down there with you and then I'll fly home. I didn't have my real ID, so I was like, how am I gonna get home? Luckily, we called up the airport and we're like, hey, like I have to get home. I don't have a real ID. I don't know what to do. Only had to pay an extra $50 to get a plane ticket, and I had to go through extra security, but they told me when I got back to Missouri. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I fear that is all she wrote for today. If you got any entertainment at all out of my diabolical life choices, let me know and we can make some arrangements, because I fear that does not even scratch the surface.
I want to hear about the worst date that you have ever been on, because I feel like there's not many that can top this one. So when I was 19, I was dating around and I get set up by a work friend. She's like, I think that you should date this guy that I know. And I was like, okay, sure. So it was kind of like a blind date. Like she showed me a picture of him, so I kind of knew what his face looked like generally, but like then she just gave me his number and we just like texted. And so we set up this date and he's like, you should come to me. Like I have my own apartment, because he was like 21 or 22. I was like, great. And he lived on the top floor of this super big apartment complex. Like it was like 15 or 20 stories. I don't know why I agreed to this, but he's like, yeah, meet me at my house. Then like I'll take us to the date. Again, I'm 19. I hadn't dated very much. And I was like, okay, like sure, normal. And my friend from work like set us up. So I'm like, okay, I can trust this guy. So I get there and he's like, yeah, I live on the top floor, which I actually didn't know until I got there. So I'd run this creaky ass elevator all the way up to the top floor, which scared me. And I go up to his apartment door and like knock on it, which again, I know all of this sounds insane, but I was 19 and a little dumb and naive. I knock on his door and he opens the door, but when he answers it, he is so tall that like, he's literally like this tall, like this is what I can see. He is like this much taller than the top of the door frame. And I was like, and he goes like this, like out of it. He's like, come on in. Okay, great. I am like average on the short side. I'm like 5'3". So, you know, somebody 7 feet tall is like a little crazy next to me. And he's like, oh, take your shoes off. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I take my shoes off next to his shoes, which are so big that the only thing I could think of was to ask him what size they were. So I put my teeny tiny little Polly Pocket shoes next to his giant shoes, and he says, they're a size 21. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I have to have them custom made. And I was like, I bet you do. So he is like so nervous. And now I'm nervous because now I've met a giant in real life. And he's like, oh, do you want a drink? And I go, no, I'm only 19. And he's like, okay, yeah. And he's like clattering the wine glasses together. And he is so nervous, making me nervous. And I'm like, we should just go to dinner. He's like, okay, we're going to go to this sushi spot. I'm like, great. I love sushi. The sushi spot we went to was like in a downtown area, and the whole storefront is glass. So we get in his car and we're going to sushi. We like order our sushi. We sit down next to the windows. And this homeless man is outside, and he's like kind of pacing back and forth with like all of his stuff. Like you can tell he's homeless. He's pacing back and forth with all of his stuff, kind of like he's looking for something. And I'm just like, okay, I can't like make eye contact with him, but also like he's not gonna like come into this business either. I'm chatting with my date. The homeless man like looks at me and he like acts like he recognizes me and like gets excited, and he like comes inside and like makes a beeline for me. And I'm like to my date, oh my God, like I don't know what's about to happen. This homeless guy's coming up to us. This homeless guy like comes straight up to me and he was like, God sent me to you. And I was like, okay, this is not good. And he like kind of tries to grab my hand and I'm like, oh no. And he's like, no, I'm like not trying to scare you, but like God really sent me to you. He said like, if you pulled out your wallet, I'm like, oh, here we go. He said, if you pulled out your wallet, you would have the last $2 that I need to get like a bus ticket back to my family. And I'm like, I don't have any cash. And he's like, no, like God told me in your wallet will be $2. And I was like, no, like I'm not giving you money. I'm just trying to eat. My date is like, hey man, like go away. He's like trying to get him to go away. It's just so awkward and uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, like he really needs to go. And he's like, no. Like God told me to come to you specifically. And I'm like, okay, sure. And he's like, your first name starts with a K. And I'm like, whoa, first guess, like that's kind of crazy because yeah, it does. And he's like, and your last name starts with an S. And I'm like, what is going on? Because my last name started with an S. I was like, okay, you're really freaking me out. And so I'm like, okay, if I give you $2, like if I have $2, like will you go away? I'm like, but I don't carry cash, like I'm just going to have quarters. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so here's the weird part. I opened my wallet and there's $2 bills in there. And I was like, okay, here, take my $2. And he's like, see, God told me like he was going to provide, like I needed to find you and you would give it to me. And now my date is like kind of freaked out too. I'm like, okay, will you leave now? And he's like, I just like want you to know, like really God sent me to you. I'm like, okay. He's like, points at my date. He's like, I know things about this man too. And I'm like, what? And this guy's like, yeah, what do you know about me? And he's like, oh, you used to write for a newspaper. This guy like turns white because like, I didn't know he wrote for a newspaper. He like turns white and he's like, you need to go. And he like points at me and he's like, and you're going to be like in healthcare, which like at the time I like wanted to go to school to be a doctor. So I was like, oh, that's so weird. I was like, please leave. And I'm getting like more freaked out by the second. He's like, okay, like that's fine. Like, you know, thank you. I have my $2. I'm gonna get on the bus to go see my family. I am like so shaken up by this that I like turned to my date. I'm like, please get me in the car and like take me home. And he was like, no, we shouldn't end our date. I was like, no, I'm like really freaked out. That was like really weird. And I feel panicked and like uncomfortable and I don't really know what's going on because that man like knew stuff about me. He's like, okay, so we start walking to the car. He was like, you know what's really weird? I used to write for the Chicago Tribune. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I find that really freaky. He's like, I'm a little freaked out too. I'm like, okay, please get me home. So now he's like a little freaked out, still nervous. I'm freaked out. And he's also upset because like I want to leave the date. So we get in his car and he is like so shaky. He like backs up and he slams into another car. And I just like break down and I'm like, no way, you just got us into an accident. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And I just start screaming at him. I'm like, get me back to my car now. So he takes me back to my car, like after the whole incident. I get back to my car and I leave. That should be the end of it, right? Well, it was the end of me like ever speaking to him because it freaked me out. Fast forward to like years later, I meet my now husband and we got on the topic of his friends, and his friend he was talking about worked at this company, and it was the same company that this guy had previously gone on a date with worked at. And I told him about this date story, and he tells his friend, he's like, oh my gosh, this girl I'm dating just told me about this guy. He used to work there, maybe he still works there. And this crazy date story, he relays it to his friend. His friend's like, there's no way. He's on my bowling league and we're bowling right now. He's like, this guy's literally 7 feet tall and sends a picture of this guy. And it's the weirdest story ever. Like the freakiest date. And then like how somehow he was then connected to my now husband is just so funny. I just don't think anybody can really top this kind of date story.
Okay, story time. But it's not about me. It's about my friend, and she doesn't have any kind of social media. And she said that she wants me to get it out to an audience because she wants to know what she should do in the situation that just happened. So a little backstory is her and her husband don't have any children, and they lived in this, like HOA neighborhood. It was nice, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They're both, pretty well off. They have good jobs, and like everything is smooth sailing, right? So fast forward to like maybe a year later, and she tells me that her and her husband really want to get back into like a community pool, a community tennis court where they can like make, friends and stuff like that. Even though like, some of them are younger than her, they still, wanted that like camaraderie or whatever. So they ended up buying this house in this really cool like neighborhood, just like what I said. And my friend was like, even though we're like maybe 10 years older, like probably everybody in the neighborhood is like anywhere from 25 to like 35, and she's like 45. Okay. So they found a house in this really cool neighborhood with everything they wanted, and they decided to buy the house. And so they did, and everything was great and blah, blah, blah. Right. So they had a couple like housewarming parties to like meet the neighbors, do all that stuff. They were on the tennis team. I mean, they were like integrated into this like, neighborhood that they just absolutely loved. Well, one day around Halloween, there was a Halloween party going on. And it wasn't like a dress up Halloween. It was like just a fun like party theme, whatever, right? Well, one of the guys there, one of the husbands, he had just recently been divorced, and he was living in the house, and the woman was somewhere else. His ex-wife was somewhere else. And so he brought a date to this party, and she was very young, and she was very beautiful, and everybody just kind of embraced her, and they were like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's great, right? So maybe a week after that, maybe 2 weeks, she told me that she saw the girl in her backyard, and she didn't have her top on. And I was like, that's her house. She can do what she wants. Nobody was there. I mean, the neighbors are close, but I don't think anybody was watching. And so the couple, the husband and wife, the older ones that just bought the house, they didn't really think anything of it. So what happened is, one night the husband was walking his dog, and he saw the young girl that had been living with the guy that was the ex-husband, and he went behind a bush and took care of some stuff. And that was the man that was my friend's wife. And she wants to know if she should divorce him. I honestly don't know either. But that's what happened. And I don't know. She just wants some sort of like, because she's furious, obviously, but she wants some sort of like validation, like, should I stay with him? Should I not stay with him? So what do you guys think?
So this is a story time of how I got my Ariana Grande floor tickets stolen from me. So on June 9th, I got off the wait list, and I was searching on the website, the official Ticketmaster website, for floor tickets because me and my cousin are super big fans. We've been fans of hers since we were like, I don't know, maybe 9-10 years old. And we really, really wanted to be on the floor for her concert in Oakland on June 9th. At 2:45, I was able to secure 2 floor tickets. And I was so excited, so happy, over the moon. And then after I purchased the tickets, I bought these directly on Ticketmaster, by the way. I added them to my Apple Wallet, and then I commuted to my cousin's house to get ready. And about like maybe it was only like an hour or two later, I got a notification while I was at my cousin's house that my tickets in my Apple Wallet were invalid. And keep in mind that we were literally about to leave the house and I got that notification. So I started freaking out. And I was like, why would they be invalid? So then I called Ticketmaster customer service and they told me that the tickets had been transferred. And I was like, well, who transferred them? Because I did not transfer them. Like, I did not transfer them to anyone else. I did not give anyone my Ticketmaster information. Like, there's just no one in the world that I would have transferred these tickets to, because we were super excited to be on the floor that night. And just like, why would I transfer my floor tickets? Like, we're super big fans. Obviously, we want to be on the floor to see her. The Ticketmaster team tells me that they're going to escalate the situation to their fraud team, and that basically all I can do is wait until they get back to me. Concert was that same day, and for them to tell me that all I could do was wait for their escalation team to get back to me was crazy. And they just kept saying, oh, there's like nothing I can do for you. Like, if you really want to go, then just buy a resale ticket. And I was like, why would I buy like the crazy resale priced tickets when I just got floor tickets for face value, like fair and square? They were just so unhelpful. After that, we decided to go to the venue because I guess like I had like a little bit of hope that Ticketmaster might get back to me before the event started. So once we got there, like, we didn't hear back from them, so I decided to call them again. And they put me, like, it took really long. It took like maybe another 30 to 45 minutes until I actually got through to another human being. And then they basically told me the same thing, that the only thing that I could do was wait for the escalation team, the fraud team, to get back to me because there's just nothing else they could do. I also went to the box office at the Oakland Arena and I tried to ask if there's anything that they could do to help me, and unfortunately they also said no. They told me that they were able to see who the tickets were transferred to, like the name and the email, but they weren't able to give me that information because it's like private information. Usually when you transfer tickets on Ticketmaster, like you would get a confirmation email or something like that, and I never got anything in my email saying that I transferred tickets, or just like, I don't even know how it happened. So I clearly did not authorize that transfer. Like, after I spoke to the box office and they told me that there was nothing they could do, I decided to get on the phone and call Ticketmaster one more time because it was like basically almost 8 p.m. at this point and we just really wanted to get inside. But when Ticketmaster picked up again, they basically just told me the same story. They were so unhelpful and I just was devastated because when I secured those floor tickets, I was so excited. We were supposed to be by the extended stage, only like a couple seats away from like where she was standing, you know? So it's now July. Because of all that, like, I obviously got scammed and I didn't get the tickets that I paid for. So I decided to file a dispute with my credit card. And my credit card company got back to me recently and they said that Ticketmaster is like filing a dispute back against me because they sent my credit card company documents saying that the tickets were delivered to me when I told them that I did not receive the service that I paid for, because I didn't. I also told my bank that the tickets were stolen from my account without my authorization. So they said that they were going to get back to me regarding that dispute, but honestly, my hopes are kind of low. I just feel like I was scammed and no one's on my side. I did DM Team Ari when it happened just because I was like literally so desperate to get our tickets back. We just really wanted to be on the floor, but no one ever got back to us, so I don't know. I guess this is just my PSA to try to keep your Ticketmaster account secure, change your passwords often. But yeah, that was just really upsetting that it happened to us.
Story time of our two men from last summer where we ended up in the woods at 11 p.m. with our phones taken.
By the way, this was a year ago and we're both now in really happy relationships.
Okay, so basically my guy that I went with, I had kind of talked to him in like the fall of that year, but then we kind of fell off and stopped talking because I started dating some other people, and her guy she'd been talking to for like on and off that whole year kind of. Okay, we're not gonna use real names, so my guy's gonna be Josh and her guy's gonna be Oliver.
So it started, we were hanging out with some of our friends, and then Oliver snapped me and was like, I'm with Josh, like, let me pick you guys up, and we didn't think they were really serious, so we just said yeah.
Like she said, we didn't think they were serious, but Oliver knew where she lived because they had hung out before. And so we had to have our friends like drop us off on a random street because they refused to pick us up at her house. So that should have been the first warning, but.
So they picked us up from the side of the road and they asked us like what we wanted to do, and we were just like, I don't know.
We thought we were gonna like get food or something.
Yeah, we were like, so we don't care, like just go somewhere or something. And they were like, okay, like we know somewhere to go. We're just gonna go like a longer route.
Okay, so we like kind of know because we were in our hometown. We kind of know like the area. And so we're driving for like a really long time. Like we're getting kind of sus. Like we don't know where we are or anything. And Josh is driving and he's like texting and driving, like he's swerving all down the road. Like he's not looking at the, like it was bad. And we were really confused. We're like, where are we? Like they won't tell us, like they won't talk to us. They're like talking to each other, they're whispering, and like it was so bad.
So we get to like this neighborhood and there's all this like loud music, so we're like, is there like a party they're trying to take us to? So we were like confused, but then we keep driving past the music and to this like cul-de-sac where the woods are, and they just like stop the car.
Yeah, like this was, we didn't even know there were woods because it was 11 p.m. like we couldn't see, but they're just like this dark opening in trees, and we're like, oh my god. Okay, so we're like, what's going on? And we're kind of being like, we want to go home, so we're telling them like, oh, like I feel like we have to go home. And then they like all of a sudden like they just stop the car, they grab this bag like that they have and like get in the woods, like run to the woods, like get out the car. And we're like, I'm actually terrified. And so we were like, okay, so we got out the car and started running.
So at this point we're in the woods with them and they're like, give us your phones, like you can't video this. And they're talking about this bag that they have and they're like, you can't video this, give us your phones. And they like snatch our phones from us.
Yeah, can't see by the way.
Yeah,
and so then they turn around and they're messing with this bag that they have, and like we hear a sound and we didn't really know if it was like the party or not or something that they did, but then they're like, run, so we have to book it out of the woods. Like we have no clue what's going on, we don't have our phones or anything, and they make us like jump in the car and like, okay, we gotta go, and we're like, what is going on? Mind you, we got in the car, but then after we were in the car they're like, you guys like have to get out, and we're like, none of us drove, like we don't know how to get home, we don't know where we are.
So then they started saying they have to go somewhere else, and they obviously have to take us because we don't know where we're at, and we obviously didn't drive there. Neither of us had license at the time. And so they were like, okay, you guys have to come with us. So we start driving and we don't know where we're going.
So everyone in our town kind of hangs out in this grocery store like parking lot. I don't really know why. But we got there and it's like a bunch of senior guys who had graduated that year because this was over the summer. And then they're yelling at us. They're like, get down, like no one can see you, get down, like hide behind the seats. We still don't have our phones. And then like we kind of get them back as they're talking to these guys, but it was terrifying.
So we're still hiding under the seats, and at this point they're like giving the bag that we didn't know was in it and everything that they're being secretive about. They give the other people the bag and we get our phones back and we're like texting back and forth like, what should we do? Like this is a bad situation.
Yeah. And so we were thinking, I was like crying in the car. I was like, we need to jump out the car, but like no one knew where we were, so that wasn't really an option. So long story short, after that, they kind of drove us back, but they didn't drive us back to the house. They dropped us off on a random street again, and we had to walk home. So yeah, don't go hanging out with us. And we knew them too, but yeah
we didn't expect that.
We're here, my wedding week from hell. I'm very sorry it took me so long to make this video. I promise you, I've tried multiple times, and like, there's just so much. I've tried so many ways to try and like tell it in certain ways to make it cohesive and like a good video output so you don't have to watch a million parts, but I can't. This story is just a lot, and so you're gonna have to sit through many parts. And please know that I did try. Very sorry in advance, but do know it was worth the wait, and it is worth the parts because it's crazy. So let's get into it. I'm gonna give you a very brief background for those who don't know kind of like what our wedding plans were leading up to it. So here we go. We decided to have our wedding in Italy, in Lucca, Italy. It's a Tuscan town outside of Florence. We were gonna be there for a week at a villa that we rented, okay? That's what you need to know. All our guests came. They were there for the whole week. We did our wedding on a Thursday and then left the villa on a Saturday. There you go. That's pretty much all the background information you need. Let's get into it, okay? Let's start day one, okay? Day one is, I'll combine Saturday and Sunday into day one because Saturday we all kind of got there around like 5 p.m.-ish, and I didn't have anything planned because I knew people were gonna come in at different times. So people got in at like late that night, and so nothing planned, jet lag day that Saturday. Sunday is true day one. We wake up. I have a pool party planned for us to hang out at the villa and just enjoy each other's company. Some people had met for the first time on this trip, just get to know each other, just relax, wear the jet lag off, that sort of thing, okay? That's where hell starts, literally day one. I have this pool party planned, okay? We're all hanging out, having a good time. Blaine's parents, my husband's parents, have disappeared. We don't know where they went. I did tell people coming up to the week, you can go and do your own thing if you want. Like, I had a very loose itinerary. The only mandatory days were our bachelorette and bachelor night, which is the same night on Tuesday. Obviously the wedding rehearsal and the rehearsal dinner, and then the wedding, and that was it. Everything else, you didn't have to come along with the things that we had planned. Sunday being one of those days, but everyone stayed because everyone was jet lagged, having fun, all that. Blaine's parents, on the other hand, disappeared. Something important for you to know as well, a little bit of context. His parents had gone on a week-long vacation prior to our wedding week. I also want to be very cautious with what I'm sharing with you guys. Just, I don't know, family, privacy, delicate, all that stuff. Because at the end of the day, I'm a good person, even if they chose to not be during my week. Okay, all right. Let's set the context there. So they decided to go on a week-long vacation prior. So they've already done their exploring and stuff. We're thinking they're gonna spend the week with us. Nope, they disappear. So I had no idea where they are. Okay, whatever. We continue on with our pool party. We're having a great time. And at one point, Blaine's brother comes up to me and he goes, I don't know what the guys are doing for the bachelor, but I know what the girls are gonna do for the bachelorette. And we go, it's a surprise. Like, we're really trying not to know anything about it. Like, it's a secret for me. Like, don't tell us anything. And he goes, well, all I know is that they're gonna have a private chef. And so obviously he said that to me and in front of my bridesmaid, who got upset because we just told him that it's supposed to be a surprise and it's like the secret that's been kept from me all this time because it took a year and a half to plan this thing. And so we're just like, okay, that's a bummer. I'm just move on, all right? I know how his brother is. This is just how he is. And so we continue on about the day. I'm not thinking anything of it. My bridesmaid, however, told my maid of honor, who told my husband, who then confronted his brother and was just like, hey, he was upset, but I wouldn't say he was yelling. He was just very much like, hey man, like, don't do that. Don't talk about the bachelorette to them. Don't tell them anything. And apparently he took that and locked himself in his room for the entire rest of the day. He says he locked himself in there for 7 hours. None of us know that's happening, okay? None of us know that he has done that. I have already moved on at this point, and I'm just trying to enjoy the day with my friends and eat hot dogs and chill by the pool, okay? His parents get back. And while they get back, I had already left to go pick up my mom and my brother from the train station. This is around like 8:30 p.m. at night. They've been gone the whole day. When I return, it's already dark. It's cold. Like, Italy gets so cold at night, at least during the time that we were there. And they're just sitting outside in the cold, like wrapped up in towels. And so I'm like, hey guys, like, what's up? Like, why are you guys sitting out here all by yourselves in the cold? And his mom goes, we brought towels. I was like, okay. But clearly something's going on that I don't need to be a part of. I give my husband the lies, like, handle that, figure out whatever the hell's going on there. So he does that. I take my mom, my brother in. I show them their rooms. We're chilling some more, hanging out with the kitchen with our friends, talking, eating pizza, whatever. And then I go to bed, and then my husband eventually comes up, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, what was that about? And they were pretty much really upset that Blaine got upset at his brother for ruining the bachelorette. And like, and then he then locked himself in his room, and his parents were like, you didn't take care of him, you didn't care what he was doing, like you were so focused on your friends, like you didn't care about your brother. Mind you, they were gone the whole day. And then they're like, we feel so isolated or excluded from the rest of the group, like no one knows us. Mind you, they were gone the whole day. So my husband's like, you just got here, like everyone else spent the day hanging out, like just go talk with people and introduce yourself. I don't understand the issue. Like my friends are all nice. Like I said, there was a lot of people there that had never met each other before. Like it was not like this exclusionary thing that they're trying to make it out to be. And they've never been like this. Like they have always been big people, whatever. And they know 90% of the people that were in like there. They didn't know maybe 5 people total, whatever. And so they're just really upset. It gets really heated. This is a part that I went back and forth debating if I was going to share with you guys, but I just take my word for it that some of the things that they said to him and the ways that they talked to him and treated him and things that they said about me, we'll never forgive. They had set the tone day one on how their behavior was going to be for the rest of the week and how they viewed me in this wedding week and all of our friends and all of us that are just trying to have a good time and celebrate each other. Like they set the tone day one. That is Sunday. The next day, Monday, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to fit with 4 minutes left, so just hang in there with me. I promise things will get more smooth as I tell the story. But we go to a place called Cinque Terre, and it's like a 5-island area, and the place that we're visiting is called Monte Rosso. It's like a beach town, right? We have to take the trains to get there. It's an arduous journey trying to get 24 or 23 people to all make it to the train station on time and get on the same train and get there. We all do it. We're successful. We all are on the train. We're in the very last stretch. There are 15 minutes left and we're home free. And we start getting a group, like text in our group chat. Our phones are literally blowing up, like literally just boom, 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 boom. And we're like, what's happening? What's going on? It's Blaine's brother. He, at the last train station, had gotten off the train. Just didn't look, didn't tell anyone, just got off the train. And he's texting us like, I'm cussing, okay, I don't want to like say things, but he's like freaking out. He's like, I'm in trouble, I'm lost, I'm not where everyone is, like help me, I don't know, where would I do, help, I'm scared, I'm lost, I'm all these things. And we're like one at a time just blowing up because we're on a train and like service is in and out as we're going through tunnels and stuff. We're freaking out, like what? And some people are laughing because it is kind of funny, like the way he's texting, but like I'm freaking out. My mom's freaking out because she had, just got there the night before. So she's like crying, worried about him. His parents are just making a joke out of it, calling him stupid, all this stuff. And I'm just like, how do you get lost? How do you get off the train? Like, we were so close. How did this happen? And so eventually we figure out how to get him to find us. It's like this whole ordeal. He isn't listening to the directions. And I mean, it's a stressful situation for sure. We eventually get there. We all get there on time. He gets there later, like 45 minutes later. And the day is great. It's what happens on the way home that is crazy. And I unfortunately will have to stop here and make part 2. Please keep in touch. This is like the appetizer. It gets progressively worse as the week goes on, okay? Progressively worse. Like, you won't believe me, I promise. Part 2 of how TF did I get married? That is more what the story is. Not who, but how. Okay, I left off on Monday. We are done with the beach day and the chaos that was, and then heading back home to the villa. On the train ride home, mind you, we had reservations for a bachelorette group night dinner thing. We were going to dress up in our outfits and go out for dinner and then like go to the bars, nightlives together. And so we're getting ready to go to that. On the way back on the train, I start hearing a commotion. All right, our train stops. We're stopped for a long time, and a commotion starts to occur. Some context for this. Again, our group was of 23 people, and 23 people sitting in one area is pretty hard on a crowded train in the summertime in Italy. So half our group is at like the back end of the train cart that we're on, and the other half is like more towards the front end, for best way to explain it. I'm sitting at the front end. I'm sitting with my mom, and I'm sitting with 2 of my party members. One is my bridesmaid and her fiance. The 4 of us are together at the front. The rest is everyone scattered kind of towards the back. The train stops. A commotion starts to occur. What is this commotion, you might ask? I'll tell the context of this so you guys can have it and then explain what I had, okay? So what is happening? I don't know this is happening at this time, okay? A lady is just like passed out on the ground, and we don't know what's happening or how long she's been like that. She's out cold on the ground. And 2 other people that are not traveling with her, but are bystanders, come up to her. One is a woman and one is a man. And they try to wake her up and get her, I don't know, help. I don't know what their goal was. She wakes up and she is mad, okay? All of them are speaking Italian. That's another important part of the story. I do not know Italian, okay? They're speaking Italian, yelling. She comes up screaming, fighting, punching, kicking, cussing, loud, okay? And she starts attacking this random lady. This random lady gets the hell off that train. This starts happening. She's like, whoa, and gets off the train. And the commotion that I'm hearing is this other woman screaming, the one that was passed out, going up and down the train cart, hitting the backs of seats, hitting the walls, standing up on the table. I'm ignoring it. I'm just thinking it'll pass. I don't know. I've had a long day, okay? Clearly. This is happening. This is going on. Again, at this point, a man gets involved. Keep in mind, I still do not know that this man and woman do not know each other. And he starts trying to calm her down. And he's trying to like grab her and restrain her in a way because she's kicking, screaming, punching, fighting, beating stuff up. And she turns on him now and starts kicking him, punching him, slapping him, doing all this stuff, screaming at him. And they go from where they were at the back where my friends are, more up towards the front where I am with my mom and my other 2 people. And so this is where I start to pay attention because I'm now hearing a man's voice involved. One thing about me is I have a very strong fight or flight, and I will insert myself into a situation if necessary. And I'm watching this happen. They're yelling and they're screaming, and it's starting to get physical. So I then stand up, and I stand up out of my seat, and I turn to watch them. I'm trying to put like pressure on the situation. All the other bystanders are kind of just like watching this happen and like averting their eyes or like trying to like not look, including the workers on the train that are watching this happen. I mean, she's screaming, like causing a whole mess, fighting, screaming, punching. I stand up and I'm watching and I'm looking at other people like, are you gonna step in? Like, are you gonna do anything? Mainly the workers. I don't know Italian, so I can't say things to them. I'm just trying to like put that pressure on them, like I said. Then I watch, and I don't wanna like say too much in case violence rules, but violence occurs, okay? Violence that I can't ignore. I'll just say that much. Violence from the man. I watched a flip in his eyes switch. He went from trying to restrain her allegedly. Again, I don't know at this point that he's trying to restrain her. I'm just seeing a man and a woman fighting. I don't know their background. I don't know anything because I couldn't see. I see a switch. He turns on her and things get violent, very extremely violent to the point where I'm now intervening. I am running towards them. I'm waving in their face. I'm screaming. I'm clapping. I'm screaming at everyone else. I'm like literally going like this, like yelling, screaming in their face. I start to pull and I get pulled back at that point. Like I'm about to like literally rip this man off of this woman that I do not know. And I can't interject. I don't know Italian. Again, I'm just trying to help and put a stop to what I'm witnessing. I get yanked back. And at this point, the rest of my party has obviously seen that I have involved myself in a train fight and are running down to like try and break them up. And the 2 people I was with sitting there happened to be medical professionals, one a nurse, one a doctor, and they are trying to like break that up. The fiance of my friend ends up like literally putting himself between the 2. I have been pulled back by a random Italian man who speaks English, and he's like, you don't understand, like stop trying to get involved, stop trying to break it up. Like he's helping her. That is not what was happening. That is not what I had seen. Maybe, again, I learned this later, maybe that was the context in the very beginning, but what I witnessed had quickly transformed from him helping to his adrenaline kicking in because she hit him too hard and things snap. You know, it happens. And so I witnessed, I'm not justifying it, obviously. I literally put myself in harm's way on my wedding week to try and help this lady, okay? So I'm not justifying his behavior. This is just the context. And so we are ripping them apart. My brother, my husband, they've run up to the top now. Everyone's like trying to pull these people apart. Eventually the train workers actually do get involved. They get them both off the train after a lot more yelling, screaming, fighting. She has like ripped this random man's shirt, the one that eventually started attacking her, shirt off. Like it's a mess, okay? A mess. And so eventually they both get off the trains and we get to go on and move on about our day. And like, it was crazy. And of course, everyone's mad at me for like involving myself. Just, And I'm like, y'all don't understand. Like, I didn't have a choice. And I would do it again 100 times. I don't care. Like, if I can help someone, I'm going to do it, period. And so we just kind of are going back and forth because the front half of the group didn't see it progress to the point. Like, I didn't know what had happened from their perspective, and they also didn't see how it had progressed. So they're just like, why did you get involved in that chaos? And then I have to explain, and then we finally come to the same conclusion and put all the pieces together of what had happened on that train and why we had decided, me and my bridesmaid and her fiance had no choice but to involve ourselves. That's on our way home. And of course, things are delayed. We ended up making our dinner reservation. And it's so funny because we get there at our reservation and the waiter splits us, and the girls are at one table and the guys are at another table. He comes up to us on the girls' side and looks directly at me. Mind you, we had sat down and had been sitting at the restaurant for 3 or 5 minutes, at the absolute max, 5 minutes total, looking at the menu, trying to figure out what we want to do. And if you know anything about Italian dining culture, they take their time. Like, it is not like a experience. Like, you have many courses, you laugh, you drink, you connect. Like, it's like eating dinner, especially out, like in the experience we were having, is a whole process. But he comes up to me and he goes, I really just can't keep the kitchen open all night for you. We have a business to run, so I need you to tell me what you want to order. What? We have a reservation. Why me? Like, it was this whole, we were laughing about it for the rest of the night, making jokes and stuff. I eventually ordered an espresso martini, and it's, I have to admit, the best espresso martini I've ever had in my life. My bridesmaid decides, she says, ooh, I wish I would have got one. And the waiter overhears us and it's like, I got you. Like, I got you. And then brings her an espresso martini that is clearly what was left in the cup. Like, it is not fresh. It looks nothing like the one I just had. It is like the bottom of the barrel. It was absolutely disgusting. And she didn't even ask. Like, she just said, like, ooh, I wish I would have ordered one. And he's like, I got you. And then brings her the bottom of the barrel of my drink and then charges her for it. So we're just like, what is this day? It's like cursed. Like, all this stuff has happened. He got lost and off the train, and we're all like panicking, like trying to figure out how to like get him to where we are. There's no service. I get in a fight on the train, and now we're at dinner and I'm being bullied by our waiter, and then he's bullying but the guys on the other hand, best time. They're having the greatest time, living it up, laughing it up. And we're just like, wonderful. And then we don't have enough time to go out as a group, but it's fine. The next day, however, Tuesday, is where I will be in part 3, and that is our bachelor day. I could probably combine, no, I can't. I cannot combine Tuesday and Wednesday. Unfortunately, Wednesday will be its own video. That is where the magic, the unmagic, the chaos, that's truly where it happens. But anyways, continue on. I will continue on. Part 3, how the hell did I get married? I'm gonna combine Tuesday, like a very tiny period, so I can spend the most time talking about Wednesday. This is where the craziness happens. Tuesday, honestly, pretty tame. His brother only spoiled like one little part of my bachelorette, which was we did wake up and my bridesmaids, and mainly my maid of honor, of course, had planned and like decorated this whole room in the house. It had balloons and pictures of us and like cute little t-shirts. It was so adorable, like literally the best. And so we got ready, we went to Florence, and then we went and rode horses in the Italian Tuscan side, which is my dream. I have been begging to ride horses for the past 2 years. It's literally on my vision board. And then we came home, and then that's when we had the private chef, and we were in our PJs and like got served. It was just so fun and cute, and we like stayed up all night drinking and playing games and just having a fun time. Like, it was so much fun. The guys went whitewater rafting. Mind you, that's what his parents went and did on Sunday when they disappeared for the pool day. We're like, where are they? They were whitewater rafting. They knew we were going to do, or the guys were going to do that. And his dad was included in that and going to go into the whitewater rafting, but he chose to do it anyway. And then didn't want to go on the bachelor stuff because he had already done it. So that's one little drama thing. Another little drama thing that happened was my mom and Blaine's mom have like met one time. And like me and my husband had been together for 8 years at this point. So like when I said like our groups are really intertwined, we all know each other. Like, we have been together 8 years, and half the people there had known his parents and Blaine for like 10, like their whole childhood. A lot of them live on the same street, okay? Very close knit. And so one of the things that his mom had said to my mom, first thing actually, like first real thing that they had a conversation about, she tells my mom, I don't know why your daughter hates me so much. On my wedding week. Okay, I've been with him for 8 years. I give them all my Christmases. Like, I spend so much time with them, and like And that's what she says to my mom, which is just an awful thing to say. And my mom goes, no, she doesn't. And then she spends the whole day like trying to like mend this weird one-sided hatred. And then she also tells my mom, what kind of maid of honor doesn't include the bachelor or the mother of the bride on the Bachelorette? My mom is like, a normal one? Like, what mom goes on the Bachelorette, you know? And I think whatever. So that's just no, there's these little things going on. And there was like a really big miscommunication that happened on the Bachelor night that caused the dad and the brother to get upset. So there's just stuff like that happening. But it's all petty little BS that shouldn't matter on our wedding week. Let's get into Wednesday, the next day. This is rehearsal day, okay? We didn't start rehearsal till 5 p.m. and we had dinner reservations at 7:30 p.m. And so again, another day of just chill at the villa, go out and explore. Everyone had a car or access to a car to go. Like, you did not have to stay and be anywhere you didn't want to be. And so everyone's spending their Wednesday in various ways until we get up to the point where it's time to start the rehearsal. And so this is when the wedding planners arrive, and you know, things are starting to feel more like, okay, we're not on vacation, like we're here for my wedding, and my husband's wedding, of course, our wedding. And so I'm trying to like show everyone like what to do for the bachelor, or I'm sorry, for the rehearsal, and like our wedding planners are trying to explain like who gets paired up, where to walk, and how to like stand and all this stuff. And a lot of like comments are getting made, a lot of anxieties are happening. A funny thing is I'm wearing a shirt that says like Mrs., my husband's last name, and his mom comes up to me and like puts her finger on my chest in like a very mean way, says, I need one that says current Miss last name. And I was like, okay, and it's just walked off. Like, cannot be interpreted as like a joke, because it was not. Then we walk up the hill to where we're gonna stand and get married, and we're doing all the things, and there's just all this stuff that's happening. And then I'm trying to figure out next steps, right? Next steps is the rehearsal dinner. It's gonna be this really nice restaurant that was hell to book. I don't even want to go into the details of that. Just know so much happened with this rehearsal dinner situation. It was supposed to be at the villa with a private chef. That didn't work out. It was gonna be at this one restaurant. That didn't work out. At the last minute, I scramble. It's gonna be at this restaurant. It's a nice restaurant. It worked out. I'm excited. So I thought. And so I'm like trying to like coordinate with them over email. And his mom comes up to me, and I'm sitting with my husband at this point. Everyone else is getting ready. And she comes up to me and she goes, I think I should give a toast at the dinner. Should it be good riddance or thank God you're gone? And I went, thank God you're gone? Like, what does that mean? And she went, oh, you know, you're off making your own family now. You don't need us anymore. And I was just like, okay. And I also had learned during that week, she had, her and the husband, the dad, had also said, Mariah is not including us in the planning. Like, they haven't included us. Like, they have maintained, like, remember earlier I said they literally showed up and started the week off with this vibe of being excluded and unwanted and apart and separate, which they brought. They did that, and they didn't let it go. Even when we tried to talk to them and say, like, that's not the case, like, just, we're all just getting to know each other, making effort. And they didn't want to. And so they would like stand off in little corners and like say loud enough for certain members of my party to hear things like, she didn't include us. Like, this is just so not our thing. Like, we're not involved. Like, we're in the way. And we're like, there's 23 of us, and like I said, 90% of the people that you know are here are people you've known your whole lives, okay? And so that happens, and I've just had it. This whole week has been crazy. Like, there's been just all these comments, all these things going wrong. I need a minute to cry. So I go upstairs, I just lose it, and one of my bridesmaids is holding me, and my mom's holding me, and I'm just crying, just letting it out. And I'm like, hey, can you go and facilitate everyone getting in a vehicle so they can make it to the rehearsal dinner? I will come in a separate car that has me, my husband, my mom, my maid of honor, and her fiance. Like, that's how we're gonna do. We'll come a little bit behind. I just need more time to like get myself together. Like, got it, no problem. Like, they know we're coming. It's a reservation. It's a table. Sit down. Like, we've at this point we've spent days together. Just I didn't think it was gonna be a difficult thing. And so I put myself together, and then we go to dinner. And when we arrive, like, everyone's standing and they're clapping, like, "Oh, welcome in." And I noticed that they had left seats for us in the middle of the table, and Blaine's parents are off to the side. Like, they're at the very end of the table in like the direct sun. So we're like, why are y'all down there? Like, come sit by us. And they just go, no, we don't want to. And we're like, no, like, we want you to come sit with us. And now my husband has been like, no, like, come sit, like, get up. And he made the people that were sitting in front of us, like, just two friends, get up and go and like switch seats with them. And they were like, no, we don't want to. That's not what we want. And Blaine said, I want you to sit with us. And in front of my entire party, loudly, they go, we don't want that. Okay. All right. Cool. So we spend the rest of the dinner just like, what's happening? Like, what is happening? What do we do? And, you know, and then we move on and we continue on with dinner. And then we come home. And I have to make another part for this because what we come home to is actual chaos. And the drive home and all of the things that are happening and accumulating at once. I feel like I need to pitch and sell to Netflix. Bizarre, wild, okay? So please stay tuned and I will give you the rest. And I wouldn't say it's the finale, but I don't know if it necessarily is. Maybe it is. Part 4, how the hell did I get married? My wedding week from hell. Like I said earlier, I didn't know how much I wanted to share of like his parents and behavior, commentary, involvement in the week, but like it's hard to tell the whole story without. And at the end of the day, objectively, that's true. And it happened in front of everyone. Like it's not just stuff they did to us in private. So, I mean, hey, hey, what can I do? So we, on the drive home back to the villa after that awkward, embarrassing dinner, I'm riding with my husband, my mom, myself, my maid of honor. And this time I had the other bridesmaids that I like sent to help like facilitate while we came a little bit behind. I had her come with me to explain like what the hell happened and what the hell that was. And so essentially everyone got there and like just didn't know where to sit, which is continuation on from the rehearsal. Like I didn't get into it too much, but like I love all of my friends so dearly and we have since joked about this, but like everyone just did not know, like their brains just weren't on. Everyone acted like it was their first time on earth, like their literal first day on earth. Like no one that just knew how to stand or sit or act. Same thing happened at dinner. So like everyone gets there, it's just a long table with enough seats for everyone. And like they're just like awkwardly standing around. And so when my bridesmaids goes, how about we have Blaine and Mariah sit in the middle? And as soon as she said that, his dad beelined it to where they ended up sitting, the complete opposite end of the table, like went and sat down, the first one to sit down. And so then everyone else was just kind of like, what do we do now? Like, where do we sit? And like, that's how that happened. So she's explaining that to us and we're like, well, that's their fault. Like they chose to sit down there. Like, why did they want to do that? You know? And we're just trying to like figure that out. And we're trying to like, at this point, like we're tired of this kind of stuff happening. And my husband and I decide like, we're just gonna go apologize to them. We're just gonna eat it. The wedding is tomorrow. Let's just go eat it, apologize, and just see if we can just squish whatever the hell is happening with them. And so we're all crying in the car, like hashing this because like half of us were like, we shouldn't have to apologize. The other half of us is like, well, if they felt disrespected, like let's just fix, you know, we're just in this mess. And the car ride home is this whole disaster. We get there. And again, you gotta remember, my mom was with me the first time. So she did not, like, she wasn't aware of any of that stuff. So she's just a mom seeing me upset, seeing my husband upset, and thinking like a bunch of 20-somethings just like sat wherever the hell they wanted and like were disrespectful to the parents, which is not what happened, but we didn't know that. So she comes in after us crying in the car. She starts like scolding the rest of our group. Like, we're at this villa, okay? Half of the people are getting yelled at by my mom. Some of the people are off crying that were in the car with us. And then me and my husband go to find his parents and they are in their bedroom. So we knock in the door. We try to come in. She slams the door on me as I'm trying to come in behind him. But I pushed my way through and we're like, no, we need to talk. Like, all of us need to talk. Like, we don't know what's going on. We don't know why you're upset, but we're sorry. Like, we wouldn't have wanted you guys to sit like so far away from us and like in the sun. Like, we wanted you to sit with us. And that's when they tell us, no, like, you have nothing to apologize for. We did not want to sit with you. We did not want to sit with your friends. That was our choice. You don't have to apologize for it. This is your thing. We're just showing up. We're just here. Like, we're just not involved. We just wanted to sit by ourselves so you and your friends could be together. And we were like, that's the night before our wedding. Like, if that's the case, like, maybe just say that nicer. Like, oh no, like, we want you. Like, no, they were very upset. Like I said, they didn't stand when we got there. Like, it didn't make sense. Like this. And so I'm starting to get upset. And then his mom starts to tell me that my bridesmaid told her to sit down there. And I'm like, that's not what happened. Like, we're all trying to make amends and fix things. Like, maybe there was this miscommunication. And her and I start bickering back and forth. This is literally the first time I have ever talked back. I always have just like taken the things that they said and just tried to make it work and just be the bigger person and just try and move on. Apologize for things I didn't need to apologize for, that sort of thing. And so while this is happening, we're all arguing. My mom's yelling at the other half of the group. Some of people are crying. It's a madhouse of yelling and screaming the night before my wedding. And we get a knock on the door. And so we yelled, "Not right now," or his mom did. And a voice on the other end goes, "No, it's an emergency. You need to come out and hear this." We open the door. She says, "We've been robbed." I'm gonna just let you sit with that for a second. It is 11 or 12 at night right now. It is the night before the wedding. We just all were yelling at each other and just found out we got robbed. We run upstairs to look and see if the wedding rings are there. They are not. They are not there. Nothing is there. No one's jewelry is there. Some people lost passports. There are 2 passports that are missing. One of Blaine's mom's brand new Louis bags that she had just bought on her week-long vacation prior to the wedding was gone. However, that bag happened to have an AirTag in it. So then we all go from crying, freaking out, to panicking to like, maybe we can figure this out. Maybe we can at least find a trail. We called the police. We called the people who own the villa. They come. It's chaos. People are crying. People are upset. I'm upset. My husband's upset. He's like freaking out because he had also gotten me a gift, a really beautiful necklace that he had spent months designing and getting made. And it was going to be my something blue to wear because it was like a sapphire that was very special to us and all this stuff. So he's freaking out. We're all freaking out. It's a mess. And some of the people get in the car and they go and try and they trace the AirTag location that they have. The cops come. Of course, they do not speak English very well at all. And so we're like using Google Translate to try to explain what's happening. The villa owner gets there and starts immediately defending his staff in the place. And based on the AirTag data and also some more investigation, we found how they exited. The way that they exited was like through this like secret like cellar thing, through this like back door that was locked. So the only way that they could have known, like if this was just random thieves that just happened to like be watching us and just happened to know that all of us would be gone that week, there's no way that they would have gone out that certain exit. And also all of our bags were completely like intact. Like it took us a while to even realize we had been robbed because nothing was thrown around or like anywhere like that. Like it was all like they knew exactly where to go to find every little piece of valuable jewelry. And the 2 passports they ended up taking happened to be a mistake because they just happened to be in bags that they used. So that's what happened. That's happening. So then they show up, they're trying to defend themselves and people are getting mad. We're just trying to like make sure the cops take all of the information, including the names of the staff, because we had several different kinds of villa staff throughout the week come in while we were gone and stuff like that. So like, sorry, it's suspicious. And based on the AirTag data, they would have had to leave or like come in and leave. They like this. It was so quick how fast they did it. And also the second we left, like it was fully planned. It's unfortunate. This sorts of thing happened. We're having a destination wedding. I don't want to scare you, but please be safe. Please lock your valuables. We got a little too comfortable because we'd been there for a while at this point. We're just going to dinner and coming back. Like we just didn't think. So take my word of advice from that. But that's what happens. Okay. It's a mess. We are freaking out. We end up staying up until 4:30, almost 5 in the morning because none of us can sleep. We're all crying. We're like trying to figure out what to do. And like I said, they took our wedding rings and our wedding rings were like in a box and then in a box inside of that box. They opened the lid, opened the other box, picked the rings and then closed it back up and set it on the shelf. Like how evil is that? That is so evil. And so whatever. Okay. The next day is the wedding. Surprisingly, it went well. My fiance got up. We did our private vows together in the morning, of course crying because he was supposed to give me the necklace and just the whole thing. And then he leaves immediately with one of his groomsmen and they go into town and he has like the whole story written up. Like I got robbed last night. I'm getting married in 5 hours. Like, I need bands to exchange for a ceremony. And he finds this like jewelry shop. They read it. They start panically freaking out. And they like find us these beautiful gold bands that I'm wearing now, this one. And they end up like being able to engrave the inside with like, I think he put like one of our like special like sayings is on the inside of it. And so we get that in time for us to have the ceremony. And also the 2 people who lost their passports are able to leave, go make the police report at the station, take it to Florence, which is 2 hours away, get new passports, and come back in time for the wedding. There's a little bit more I'll share on the wedding in the next part, so stay tuned. But that is... Gets worse, by the way. I don't know about worse, but another bad thing happens. My wedding week from hell, part 5. We have made it to the wedding itself. Actually, not bad. Actually, weddings, plural in this part, plot twist for you all. So the wedding itself actually goes great, except for a few things. Like some more comments that got made to me by a certain someone, and the way that the speeches were by certain someones, and how they were directed to me in front of all my friends and family. But if you just take that stuff aside, just let it go, even though I will not. But if you just let that go, those little things that could not dull my shine for this week. We had such a great time. We stayed up, and mind you, all of those are running on like 2 hours of sleep. Some are 1 hour, some on 2, some on 3 at actual most. Like myself, the bride, I had 3 hours of sleep before my wedding week, for my wedding, and I looked horrible. But we made it work. We got a bunch of Red Bulls. At the dinner, instead of having wine, we were drinking so many Red Bulls to like stay up and like party after the dinner. It was so much fun. All my friends are such troopers. All the girls, all the guys, like everyone just really, and all my family, like everyone like stepped up to like support us and make this wedding the best it could be despite the shit that had gone down that week. So we have a great wedding. We come back because you can't actually you can, but it's very difficult to get legally married if you're having a destination wedding. Most people either get married before, like legally, and like at a courthouse or something, or they do it when they get back. Before our wedding, we went to the court area, the courthouse thing, and we applied for our marriage license, and we set our date to meet with the magistrate to get legally married after we get back. So we went to our wedding in Italy with the license ready to go, like everything set. All we just needed to do was come back and get married. So it felt kind of like the traditional process. So we get back on Sunday. Our wedding is set for the next day. We go thinking it's just gonna be at the courthouse. I put a little dress on, like he dresses up in a little suit, just, for the vibes. So he's a nice camera. We want take a couple of pictures downtown, just like a fun thing. And so we show up expecting it to be the courthouse in which we started this whole process. Let me tell you right now where we showed up. It was not the courthouse. No. Because could it be for me? The things that happened to me? Think it's at the courthouse? It's at the jail. The jail. County jail. I walk up, I see a sign, magistrate and jail. Could not make that up. We walk in. It's a jail. There are people sitting there trying to bail people out. There are inmates sitting there. There is a buzzer that says magistrate, press button. So we do. And they say, you here for a wedding? Yes, we are, for our wedding, for our marriage. Where are your witnesses? You have to have 2 witnesses. We thought you could provide them because we asked at the courthouse in which we applied for our license, and they said, yeah, it's not a big deal. You don't, we'll provide some people for you if you need it. So we didn't show up. And she goes, ma'am, I don't know if you're aware of this, but this is a jail. If you look around, I wouldn't ask any of these people here to be your witness because they're all inmates. We're like, what do we do? What can we do? I'll give you 30 minutes. And if you can find 2 people to be your witnesses, we'll get you married. Right on. So we leave. We go up the hill, and there's a sheriff's building type thing. We go in. And I walk up to the desk, and there's a lady in her police officer uniform because she's a cop. And I'm like, can you do me a favor? She's like, oh, are you looking for the magistrate? I'm like, no, actually, found that at the jail, looking for 2 people to be your witnesses. And she goes, oh my God, I love. I'll do it. Let me grab someone else. And then they come out, and they're like, this is our 3rd one. Lovely. We go back to the jail. We show up with our witnesses. While we're waiting to go back there, an inmate approaches us. and goes, "You headed off to a wedding or off to a," insert word I cannot say on social media. And we were like, off to a wedding. And he goes, "Oh God, I can't wait to get out of here. Woo, they won't see me here again. Next time I'm in jail, it won't be at this one." And then just walked out, and we're just like, amazing, loving life. We finally get called back to go to the magistrate. The lady's like, "That's gonna be $50. And so we have $100 cash. We whip it out. She says, "I said $50. We're like, "Can't you break our bill?" "Nope. Isn't there an ATM right out there? That's for the inmates." "Okay, well, we have our witnesses now, and what do we do?" So we leave again. We're like, "Can everyone just like stay here? We'll be right back." She's like, "Yeah, go up the street, go to the ATM." We go to the ATM. It's broken. Go to another ATM. They only pull out 20s, and she said it had to be $50 cash. Go to a bank, and they say, "You don't bank here, so we can't break your bill." And what do we see on the hill when all hope seems lost? But a Family Dollar. We go to the Family Dollar. We buy a pack of M&Ms, we get our change, we go back to the jail, we go back to the lady, we get our witnesses, and we're like, okay, we really just need to do this for paperwork. We already had our wedding, we did a destination wedding, so now we're back just trying to like make it legal, you know? And he's like, "Oh, I understand. Surely that wedding couldn't have been as bad as this has been." You have no idea, sir. And so we tell him, and he's like, "Oh, well, in that case, I better make this special for you. You got your rings prepared? You got your vows?" And we were like, "Oh, no, we really just wanted this to be, you know, legal for the paperwork. You don't have to do anything." He's like, "Oh, we're going to do something." Awesome. We leave. We go outside across the hall, past the inmates, into another room inside the jail. And what do I see but a stick on the wall? And what do I also see? Flowers hanging from the stick, little dried flowers. And he's like, "Stand right there." And so my husband and I, we stand underneath the stick on the wall at the jail, and we hold hands. And the man proceeds to give us a ceremony that was longer than my actual ceremony that I paid for. He made us repeat after him every single word at a time. I'm not kidding. I think it took 30 minutes. We're just awkwardly standing here in a jail getting married by a guy with 2 cops as our witness. And that's that. It ends. That's the madness. That's the madness of my my wedding week. Mind you, other things have happened to me in my regular life that made me also delay telling the story because it just doesn't stop. And I don't know what to do, but here's the story out for you. Please, if you're feeling generous, you know, we did lose a lot of things and a lot of things went bad. And if you want to, I don't know, help a girl out, that'd be great because I also lost my job. So that's fun. Like all of this has just been super fun. So if you're feeling like the story moved ya, want to tip the clown, because that's how I feel. Want to tip the jester for entertaining you with my life, let me know. Bye.
Story time about my ex-boyfriend who either had schizophrenia, bipolar disorder with manic psychosis, or some type of like schizoaffective disorder. I have debated making this video for a long time because I work in the mental health field, and I understand that like mental health illnesses like can make people do really insane things, and I like did not want to put somebody on blast for that. And the things that he did impacted me a lot, and I want to talk about that because having a mental illness does not mean that you have an excuse to treat somebody horribly and put somebody through the ringer and make them question their sanity. So this is probably going to be like a multiple video thing because there are so many things that happened. I figure I should just start at the beginning. So I met this guy. We will call him Michael. So I know this guy, Michael. We had been in the same friend group, had kind of known of each other for maybe like 3 to 4 years. We lived in Salt Lake City. He had moved like in and out of Salt Lake City a lot. In like this 3 to 4 year time period, he had moved around to different states, doing his own thing, whatever. at this point in time, he moves back to Salt Lake City, and him and I kind of like talk a little bit on social media. We see each other at the same bar all of the time, and we're kind of flirting, but not really. And then we match on Hinge. And so it's like, oh, when you see somebody you know on a dating app, it's just like, okay, like now, like we have been kind of micro flirting, and now we're actually flirting. Like we're gonna kind of set up a date. So a couple of months go by, and I'm like not really interested in like setting up a date with him because I'm in my like I hate men era. So it takes a while. And then the night of his birthday, we're at the same bar, and we end up leaving together. Also, before his birthday, we had like seen each other at the bar and stuff as well prior to this, and I was kind of like never really feeling it. Like I was there to hang out with my girls, like we didn't really talk much. It was kind of awkward, but for whatever reason this night we were like, yeah, like we're gonna go home together. I'm pretty sure we went to an after party together, and then I was like, I'm leaving, and he was like, I'm leaving too, you should come with me. And I was like, no, you have to come with me because like I have my dog, so like I need to go home to my dog. And so he comes over to my place with me. We get an Uber together, and we like stay up all night. And yeah, and it was like really great. I thought it was really great. I thought we got along really well. The next day, like I was like, whoa, like I kind of like this guy, but I wasn't thinking too much about it. And then over the next like couple of weeks, we're kind of talking, like things are actually going really well. And it gets to a point where I'm like, whoa, I actually really like him. I wonder if he really likes me. We have a conversation, and he's like, yeah, like let's be exclusive. And I'm like, okay, wow, like all of this is working out really well. Like I did not expect this to happen. I actually really like him. He's like, yeah, let's be exclusive. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, what about boyfriend, girlfriend? I'm like, I think we should wait a little. And he was like, okay, yeah, but like we're exclusively dating for now. And I was like, cool. So that happens. And then 2 days later, shit hits the fan. Before I continue, I feel like this is really important to the story. At the time when we were seeing each other, dating, whatever, I was in the party scene, he was in the party scene. I do not do that anymore. I haven't done that in, let's see, it'll be a year this month. So I don't do that anymore, but it was very normalized to party in this party scene friend group, recreationally. So I didn't really notice that he was partying more often and with more intensity than other people. Do you know what I mean? Anyways, back when we had like still kind of been like talking, not really going out with one another, he had told me that he wasn't sober anymore. I worked in the substance abuse field at the time, and when somebody uses the word like, oh, I'm not sober anymore, like I'm getting sober, I'm like, okay, so like, are you actually like getting sober? Are you actually sober, or are you just taking a break? Because a lot of people I knew wouldn't, you know, go sober because they had a problem. They would just be taking a break. You know what I mean? Just to like kind of like refocus, I guess. I don't know. So I asked him, I'm like, were you genuinely sober when you were sober? And like, have you had a relapse? Or like, were you just taking a break and now you're not taking a break anymore? And he was like, oh, I relapsed. And I was like, do you understand the gravity of the word relapse? Because I do. Do you? And he was like, oh yeah, like I fully relapsed. And I'd had conversations with him basically being like, are you good? Like, do you need help? Like, do you need help getting sober? And he was like, no, like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. And I was like, okay. He was really like, it's not a big deal. Like, I'm okay. Like, I'm fine. I've got it under control. I'm all good. And I was like, all right. Well, it was not all good. He did not have it under control. And by the time we had became exclusive, it had gotten like really bad, and it was about to get so much worse. Like, he had been really trying to like not, you know, to like do the things other people were doing normally, I guess. None of it was normal, but he was trying to do it the same way other people would do it. And he lost control because he's an addict, you know, like that's what happens. You relapse and it just, you think you've got it under control and you don't. So he lost control of it right around the time when we became. So, yeah, I will make another video about what happens from there, because the guy that I thought I knew, up until that point was about to change drastically. And throughout the entirety of our relationship, which wasn't very long, from the start of like when we started talking to where we ended talking, it was a span of like, I don't know, maybe 6 months. But each time frame, he was a completely different person the entire time. So yeah, there's a lot to get into. Okay, so this is part 2 of my story time about Michael, my ex-boyfriend who had some sort of mental illness that caused psychosis and delusions. So where I left off is that we had become exclusive. I think I should rewind a little bit. So throughout this like 2 to 3 week period of like we start like really talking and we're hanging out very consistently and then we become exclusive, we are only hanging out or spending time with each other at night. He does not get in touch with me each day until like 9 p.m. because that's when he's waking up. And he doesn't have a job. He told me that he was like living off of his savings from his like previous job that he had and that he was like actively looking for a job. Yeah. So I guess he didn't have an excuse to be waking up at 9 p.m. I was just like, okay, well, he doesn't really have a job, so like I guess he's staying up all night doing and like playing video games, and like I don't know what he's doing, but like I have a job, I'm working, like I'm kind of like waiting around all day for him to like text me or call me and like ask to see me or whatever. And every time that we're seeing each other, he is like, it's kind of like we're seeing each other and like we're like partying. Like the few times where I did try to like kind of move away from that and have like real like dates and stuff with him, they were all very late in the day, and he would have to like leave early. He would just be like, oh, like I need to go home, like I don't feel good, I need to go home. And then I would find out that he's like at the bar or like at certain people's houses getting something from them. Yeah, but I like did not, for some reason, like I just did not realize how bad it was because of how normalized like the party scene is in Salt Lake City. And like we're like, I think I was like 24, I don't know, whatever. But I didn't realize how bad everything was and I didn't see the signs. So all of the time when like he would come over to my house, it'd be really late and everything would be fine. We'd be having a good time, whatever. And then out of nowhere, he'd be like, I have to go. And I'm like, okay. Like sometimes it would be like right around like 12:30 and he would go to the bar because last call in Salt Lake is 1 a.m. So he'd leave my place at like 12:30. He'd be like, I need to go. I don't feel good. I have to go home. And he would leave and go to the bar. And I'm like, okay. Or sometimes like we'd be at the bar together already, whatever. We go to my house and then like, I don't know, like everything's fine. And he would just like get up and just leave and be like, I need to go home. Just leave like very abruptly. And later on, I found out that when he was like abruptly leaving or like saying he had to go home or like going to the bar or whatever, he was going to like get more stuff. Yeah. So, all of these things are happening. I'm, for some reason, like not paying attention to any of it, and I'm not realizing how serious it is. I don't know why. I think I just did not want to admit how bad it was, and I don't know. And I just like never, everybody that I surrounded myself with at that time partied, and it was just so normal. Like, it was so normal, and I thought, I don't know, just like everybody around me was like kind of a functioning addict. And I didn't realize that he wasn't a functioning addict. He was just an addict, like not functioning, period. Like he was not functioning. And like, it was just, he was on such a fast, like downhill decline. And I just like did not realize it. So the weekend we become exclusive, one of my best friends comes back into town. And of course, like I'm out with her, we're having a good time. I have everybody back over to my apartment, Michael included, and everything is like fine. Like my friends leave and it's just him and me there, and we're having like, we had been up all night, not the best time to have a conversation like this, but I felt like really vulnerable, and like I felt like I could trust him, and I don't know why, but like up until this point, like this relationship we had been building was like really like I thought we had a really great connection, and I thought that he understood me, and I thought that he cared for me. And so like I was telling him, like, hey, like I actually really like you, and I haven't had feelings like this for somebody in a long time. I think this could be something really awesome. Like, please don't hurt me. And he heard that and was like, okay, well, like, you can't, like, rely on me, and, like, blah, 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 just completely switched up. And I'm like, whoa, we were having, like, a nice moment. What happened? And then he's like, I have to leave. I have to go. Like, I have to go right now. And I'm like, okay. And so that wasn't good. And I'm, like, kind of, like, begging him to stay. Both of us are, like, fucked up. Like, we're not in a proper state of mind right now. We've been up all night. Like, this conversation should not have been happening. I should have just let him leave. But I was like, please don't go. Please don't go. Like, I was fucked up. And yeah, after that whole thing, like, things just got weird. We were supposed to go camping with some other friends, and he's being really weird about it. The night before we went camping, we were supposed to hang out because he was supposed to stay at my place. We were going to get up and, like, go camping, and he was just, like, being really avoidant with me. And I was, like, on the phone with him trying to talk to him, and he was like, yeah, like, I actually, like, don't want to see you anymore. And I'm like, why? Because, like, I got vulnerable, and, like, I told you, like, you know, like, all I said was just, like, hey, don't hurt my feelings. Like, you know, like, don't just, like, abandon me. Don't just, like, run away. Like, I don't know. He was just, like, playing video games, like, while we were on the phone. I was like, can we talk? And he's like, I'm playing video games. And I'm like, well, can we talk, though? Because, like, I thought that this was going somewhere really awesome, and I don't really understand what happened. Like, I thought the conversation that we had was, like, okay. Like, I don't really understand what happened. And he's just like, no, I'm playing video games. He's being a fucking asshole to me. And I'm, like, crying on the phone to him. I'm like, I don't understand why you are acting like this. I thought you cared about me. Like, you said all these things, and now you just, like, would rather play a video game than, like, talk to me while I'm, like, very upset. And so, yeah, that conversation doesn't end well. The next day, I'm like, hey, like, we're going camping. Do you want to come? He's like, yes, I want to come. I've had some really shitty camping experiences, but this was the worst one that I had. And I will get into that in another video. And this was also, like, this should have been the end of it. This should have been the end of it. I was so pissed. Like, oh my God. Yeah, should have been the end. But it wasn't. It wasn't. Okay, part 3 of my story time about my ex-boyfriend who was very mentally unstable. So, camping. We were supposed to go camping. All right. And he agrees, you know, after we had this, like, weird fight thing, and, like, we kind of broke up, but I didn't really know where we stood, but we had plans to go camping with 2 of our friends. This girl that we went camping with was, like, one of my best friends, and we were going with her and her boyfriend. So Michael had hooked up with this girl, my friend, like, previously, many years in the past. So they had kind of a weird history, and I'd mentioned that, like, we'd always be at the bar a lot, and while we were there, I was there with this girlfriend of mine, and, like, he was, like, always kind of talking to her, and, like, even though she had a boyfriend, like, I don't know, whatever. So that's who we're going with. This girl, her boyfriend, and then it's me and Michael. And so we have that fight, and he agrees that he still wants to go camping. So the next morning, I'm calling him. This guy doesn't wake up until 9 p.m. Like, that is when he gets up for the day, because he stays up all night doing stuff. So I'm calling him. I'm like, oh my God, like, he's not picking up. Like, we're supposed to go. Finally, he answers, and I'm like, hey, everybody's ready to go. I'm ready to go. Like, are you gonna come? And he was like, I guess. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm coming to pick you up right now. So I go pick him up. He doesn't bring anything. Like, I have a truck, so we're gonna camp in my truck. I have a cover for the bed of my truck, and I have a blow up air mattress that goes around my wheel wells. So we're going to be sleeping in my truck on this air mattress. Like, we don't need a tent, whatever. My friend, her and her boyfriend, they have a van. They're going to be doing the same thing in their van. So, like, we don't bring any tent, whatever. So, like, there's not a lot of stuff for us to bring. But we do go to the grocery store. And I'm, like, buying a bunch of food and stuff, like, that I'm going to cook for us. He does not pay for anything. Does not pay for anything. I think he buys like 2 yerba mates or something, and that is all he contributed. I drove, so like I paid for the gas, I paid for all the groceries, I paid for everything. So on our way there, like things are weird. Like the vibe is weird between us. He's like not really talking to me. We get there, we're setting up whatever. He ignores me. Like literally just ignores me the entire time. Yeah, just ignores me the whole time. Is talking to my girlfriend, like my friend that's a girl, like is talking to her the whole time, like laughing at everything she's saying and just like completely ignoring me. I felt like I wasn't there. And then it's time, you know, to go to bed eventually. We get in the bed of my truck and he is like trying to cuddle with me all of a sudden. And I'm like, I don't like really feel like cuddling you right now. He's like, why? And I'm like, because like I have no idea what is going on between us, and you just like ignored me all day, and like you were really mean to me last night, and like I am really confused about what's going on. Like I don't want to pretend. He's like, can't we just like have a good time? And I'm like, no, because I'm not gonna fake this. Like I'm not comfortable like just cuddling with you and doing stuff with you. Like what? No, I'm not doing that. Like I am like really upset and like I don't know what is going on. I'm really confused. So he turns over and he's like making, I don't know, he's just being an asshole to me. He's just saying like really mean things to me, whatever. He turns over and like I guess goes to sleep. I can't sleep. I literally cannot sleep. I'm tossing and turning all night. I'm so sad. I'm cold because he's like stealing all of like the sleeping bag, like because he didn't bring his own. So instead of like getting in my own sleeping bag, like I unzipped the entire thing and put it over the both of us like a blanket because like he did not bring anything. So I'm freezing. I can't sleep. I feel really uncomfortable being next to him. And at some point during the night, I think he has a bad dream because he wakes up and he's like, and I'm like, hey, like, are you okay? Because I'm awake. So I'm like, hey, like, are you okay? And he looks at me and he's like, I'm in love with my ex. So you and I are never going to work out. And I'm like, oh. And then he like goes back to sleep. And I'm like, turns out like the next day I ended up confronting him about this and he was like, I don't remember that. And I was like, okay, well, just letting you know, you woke up and said that to me. So I don't know. He also said a bunch of other weird things and he was like, he was doing some weird shit in his sleep. I don't know what was going on, but he was being weird. And he continues to be very weird in his sleep, like as time progresses, like in our relationship and stuff. Like I will get into that more, but this man is always doing weird shit in his sleep. So I didn't really get any sleep that night. The next morning we wake up, he gets up a little bit before me. I'm sleeping in because I haven't slept. He's like kind of out doing some stuff. This pissed me off, okay? This pissed me off. I bought myself a vitamin water, specifically to drink the next morning when I woke up, okay? He had the opportunity to buy himself whatever he wanted at the store. I was buying him things too. The one thing that was for me was my fucking vitamin water. I wake up the next morning. He had already been out there doing stuff, whatever. Like, I get up and I come out and I see that my vitamin water is empty. And I'm like, who drank this? And my friends are like, oh, it was Michael. Michael drank it. And I'm like, hey, Michael, why did you drink this? He's like, oh, yeah, like I asked like whose it was and they said that it wasn't theirs, so I drank it. And I'm like, okay, so it wasn't theirs and it's not yours. And the one thing that I bought just for me, you drink. I know that this sounds like it's not a big deal, but it was a big deal because it's like, that is just so disrespectful. Like, that is so disrespectful. And after this happens, he gets back in my truck and passes out as we're trying to like pack up the campsite. He does not help pack anything. I pack up the entire, like all of our shit, I pack it up. He doesn't do anything. And then like everybody's ready to go. The plan was to go like somewhere in the woods. Like we were all going to go do that because like I had brought my stuff and we were going to go in the woods. And this had been the plan, and out of nowhere, he's like, you know, he wakes up, he sees that we're leaving, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna go find somewhere to go do this now. And he's like, I have to go home. I have to go home. And I'm like, why do you have to go home? He's like, I have like assignments that are due at midnight. And I'm like, midnight today? Like on a, like, why didn't you do these before now? Like, what is going on? He's like, yeah, like, I have to go home now. I knew why he wanted to go home. It's because he did not bring with him. And he needed it. He needed it bad, and he didn't bring it with him. So he made up some bullshit excuse about having to like turn in some school assignments at midnight that night, and that he didn't have time to like go kill an hour, and so we could do this thing that we had planned on doing that like is part of the reason we went camping so far away, so that we could wake up in the morning, go do this, you know, because we're on like, you know, public land, whatever, like. Yeah, and so we end up having to like just leave and cut our trip early because he has to go home and do school. School. That's what's, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and the drive back, I'm like just pissed. I'm so pissed. He is like, he wants me to take him to his house and drop him off, and then he's going to drive to my house and help me unpack. And I'm like, I feel like you're just not going to come and help me unpack. But we go to his house, I drop him off, and like as I'm dropping him off, he's like, yeah, like I could understand like why you hate me, and like this just isn't a good time for me to be with anybody right now, and like blah blah blah, but I'll let you know, like I have to think on it, and like blah blah blah. He's like, yeah, I just like, I don't know, like I feel like I like just can't give you everything that you want, and like I'm just really going through it. And I'm like, okay, like all right, then like I'll leave you alone. He's like, oh, but wait, like, no, like, don't, like, leave me alone. Just give me, like, a little bit of time. And I'm like, okay. And he's, like, apologizing, kind of, and, like, ooh. Yeah. And I should have walked away then. But, of course, I did not, and things got, way worse. Okay, so this is part 4 of my story time about my ex-boyfriend who was an addict, and once he got sober, his mental health problems like really became evident. I think it was some sort of like self-medicating situation at the time, and that's why like I didn't realize like that he had some like pretty significant mental health issues. Anyways, in the last video, I left off talking about how we had gone on this camping trip and it went to shit, and at the end of it, he was like, maybe we should like just be friends kind of thing. So for the next like week and a half, we are just friends, but I'm still like there for him because he's like going through active addiction. He had relapsed, like, and I'm trying to like be there for him and give him the support that he needs because he's like, I need to go to rehab. So I at the time worked at like a kind of like a rehab center. It was a little more complex than that, but I had connections in the field, so I was like, you know, kind of trying to help him out navigating that. While all of this is happening, he's like definitely using me, like saying like, oh, like I actually like I want to see you, and on your way over here, please get me cigarettes and please get me like drinks and like all of this stuff, whatever. Like I am sending him money. I am paying off some of his like debts, buying him yeah, not good. I was just trying to be supportive and like trying to help him out in any way that I could because he had his like this grasp on me, and I was just trying to be like, I'm a very kind person, I'm a giver, like I want to help people, and I was like, I want to help this guy, like he's a good guy, or I thought he was a good guy. But yeah, he's basically just like treating me like shit for this like week and a half period, telling me that like he really likes me but that he can't be with me, and he's like, yeah, like we just like can't be in a relationship even though we had just gone exclusive, telling me like, yeah, we can't be in a relationship and I want to be with you, but like you can see other people. And I'm like, well, are you gonna see other people? And he's just like, probably. And I'm like, okay, great. And I'm like, well, if you do see anybody else, please let me know, because I don't want to, you know, worry about like catching anything, you know, like I want to be safe. So please let me know if you are seeing other people. I will not be mad at you. Just please let me know. He doesn't let me know, of course. Thankfully, like I don't get anything. But yeah, so for the next like week and a half, we're kind of friends, kind of more than friends, but like we're definitely not exclusive anymore. And he's like not saying he wants to be in a relationship anymore. And his addiction is just like getting really, really bad. And I'm starting to see like, wow, this is bad. This is not like everybody else I know who's kind of like a functioning addict and like drinks too much or like parties too much. Like this is somebody that is like, this is an actual like addict who is like going downhill really quick. And I was like kind of scrambling, trying to figure out what I could do to help him. So it reaches a point in time where he is like, I'm going to go to rehab. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'm going to go either to a rehab here. And I'm like, okay, great. He's like, or I'm going to go to a rehab back in Oregon where I'm from. And I'm like, okay, great. And I'm kind of asking him like, after a point in time, like, hey, so we're kind of seeing each other as more than friends again, because like, of course that happens. Like I'm spending a lot of time with him and like, yeah. And so he keeps telling me like, I'm going to go to rehab on this date. This date keeps getting pushed back and I'm still hanging around waiting, because in my mind, I'm like, once he gets sober, he will appreciate me and see how much I've done for him. And like, he'll want to be with me. Like I don't know what was wrong with me. I don't know why I was like so like stuck on like, oh, if he gets sober, he'll want to be with me and blah, blah. He's like literally not all that. So I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know what was wrong with me. I was like falling in love with like the potential of like who he could be, the person that I thought he was when we first started seeing each other. Like that was not real. But so he keeps telling me he's going to go to rehab. The date keeps getting pushed back. It gets to a point in time where he's like, okay, like I'm going to go to rehab on Monday. So on Sunday night, I'm like, hey, how about you come over and I'll make you like a really good home cooked meal, because I'm a great cook. And yeah, like it'll be a really good meal before you go to rehab. And because he'd been saying like, oh, when I go to rehab, like I'm just going to be eating gruel and like whatever. So we make a plan. He's supposed to come over. He's supposed to come over at 7:00. 6:30 hits and he's like, hey, I'm running a little late. And I'm like, okay. I'm like already cooking. I'm making him duck breast and I'm making him this like mashed potatoes. And you cannot just like stop in the middle of cooking these things and then like start cooking them again like multiple hours later. Like once you start cooking this, you have to finish. You can't just like put a pause and like only cook it halfway and then take, you know what I mean? Like you can't just restart later on. Like I'm actively cooking. I can't stop and like whatever. He keeps pushing the time back. Finally, I'm like, dude, what is going on? It's like 9:30 at night. Like, where are you? Like I made all this food. He finally comes over and he's like, oh yeah, sorry, like I knew I was going to rehab tomorrow, so I like bought some stuff and I did a lot of it and like I don't have an appetite. He's like, can we just box this stuff up and like have dinner another time? And I'm like, no, we can't do that. And I'm like, why would you're like going to rehab tomorrow, why would you go out and do a bunch of more shit like when you're literally going to rehab tomorrow? Like you knew we had plans tonight. Like I didn't understand. Like, I thought I understood addiction because I work in the mental health field, but like, so in my mind, I was like, oh, you're gonna go to rehab tomorrow, so like, but I guess he wanted to have like one last big hurrah. So that happened. He came over for like fucking 5 minutes and like picked at the food that I made him and then fucking left. And he like apologized, but like, that was horrible. And then the next day he didn't even go to rehab. He ended up going to rehab like a week later or something. And in that point of time, like I had like given him like a lot of money, not like a lot, like, but probably like it had added up to probably around like a couple $100s at that point. And I was like he kept telling me he was going to pay me back as he got money from his parents. He was like, I'll pay you back. My parents are going to send me money, blah, 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 blah. He never ended up paying me back, and I started confronting him on that. I'm like, where's my money? Like, blah, blah, blah. You're about to go to rehab. You keep saying you're going to go to rehab, but you're not going. Like, where's my money at? Like, I don't understand what's happening. He's spending all of it on stuff. Yeah. And then, a date is set for him to go to rehab, and he's going to go to rehab in Oregon, and we like spend some time together that night. And then the next morning he texts me and he's like, I'm about to get on the plane to go to rehab. I woke up crying this morning thinking about how much I was going to miss you. And that got me. But I was also very excited for him to go to rehab, because I was like, I need to get my life back, because this man is driving me crazy. He's living in my head rent free. I can't stop thinking about him. I can't stop thinking about like what's going on between us, whatever. So he sends me that text before he goes to rehab. Once he is in Oregon, he is like sober, kind of like he's smoking, but he's not like doing anything else. And he's telling me all of these things of like, oh my gosh, like I took you for granted. Like I can like envision you out here with me, blah, blah, blah. I had been planning to move to Oregon anyways. And so he was saying all of these things, being like, yeah, like you should definitely come here, and like you and I are going to be together, like everything that like you've wanted like us to be together, like that's going to happen. Like now that I'm sober, like I'm finally seeing things clearly, and like I'm seeing like how much you did for me, and that like you saw me through my addiction, and like you saw the real me, just like filling me up with all of this bullshit. And then he goes into rehab. And then the next phase starts.
Alright, so I got a new bed, and my parents made me get a mattress pad with it so that if I pee the bed, the mattress isn't permanently damaged. I'm 21. I'm obviously not wetting the bed anymore, so I don't know why they did that.
Okay, part 5. So Michael goes into rehab. And how this rehab works is for the first, like, I think 2 weeks, he is not going to be able to contact anybody. So he calls me before he goes in, and he's like telling me all this stuff about how he really misses me, and like yada yada yada, like took me for granted, all of this stuff. And he's like, when I get phone privileges in 2 weeks or 10 days or something like that from now, like I'm going to call you. So that happens. He goes into rehab. I don't hear from him. For the next like multiple days, I am texting his phone every morning and every night, telling him good morning and good night, and telling him nice things, so that when he like gets out of rehab and gets his phone again, he's like sees all of these nice messages and things. So I had been like talking, we had been seeing each other every day and talking every day up until this point. And then he goes in, doesn't have his phone, whatever. And he ends up calling me early. I get a strange call from like a number I don't realize in like Washington, which is where he ended up going to rehab, not in Oregon. And I answer, and I'm like, hello? And he's like, Shay? And I'm like, Michael? And I'm just like so excited to hear from him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I miss you so much. Like I hope you're doing so well. And my response to him, he said like, made him feel so good, that I was so excited to hear from him, and that I didn't hate him for like everything that had happened and everything that he had put me through. And it was just like, honestly, like it was really beautiful. Like it was really beautiful, and I felt so connected with him, and I was like, wow, everything that I had been doing for him while he was in active addiction, like trying to help him, like he finally realizes that. And so we have this beautiful phone call, like he's crying, I'm crying, and then he's like, okay, like I have to go, I will give you a call like once like this time period like is up, but I asked my therapist, can I please call her? And so I don't hear from him again for like another week. Week goes by, I get a call from him early in the morning. I had like kind of been up all night, like partying with some friends or whatever. So when he calls me, I tell him that I love him. And he says it back. And we have another beautiful phone call. And then the next day he calls me again, and he asks me to be his girlfriend over the phone while he's in rehab. And I say yes, and I'm so excited. And at the time I had been telling my therapist about this, and my therapist was like, oh, are you going to go visit him while he's in rehab? And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But then that put that thought in my head. And when he asked me to be his girlfriend, I was like, should I come visit you? And he was like, yes, let me figure out the visiting times, whatever. So time goes on, we're still talking every day. I end up renting a car and driving from Utah to Oregon and then to Washington to go visit him for 4 hours. It's an 11-hour drive from Salt Lake City to Oregon, and then like another couple more hours up to Washington. I did that to go see him for 4 hours, and it felt worth it to me because when I saw him in the rehab and like the conversations we had and like it was beautiful, and it was so worth it to me because I was like, finally all of this energy and effort I've been putting into this person is like being reciprocated, and he sees how much I've done for him, and it's like finally like yeah. But there's a lot more about this trip that just goes horribly wrong, and I should have taken that as like a bad omen. This trip was literally horrible, and I will get into that next.
I just love it when you leave the dishes in the sink for like several days to really give this apartment that musky smell. And I also love it when you take your laundry, but instead of putting it in the laundry basket.
Okay, so this is like part like 5.5 kind of, because in my last video I had mentioned that Michael went to rehab and like asked me to be his girlfriend, and I like drove from Salt Lake City to Washington, like kind of the border of Washington and Oregon, to go visit him while he was in rehab. I drove 11 hours there to spend 4 hours with him and then drive back. On this trip, oh, it was horrible. I was going to stay with his mom. I'd never met her before, but she lived on like a really big property out on the coast of Oregon, and he had like sent me so many pictures and videos of it and stuff, and I was really excited to go stay there and meet her. I was under the impression that I was gonna be like staying in a house, but I get there and I'm staying in this like yurt that is on this huge property that's like a 10-minute walk kind of through the woods from the house. And I understand, like, you don't know me, like, your son is an addict, you probably think I'm an addict too because I was with him. Yeah, but I wasn't. So but I get it, like, you don't want me in your house, you don't know me, that's fine. But she puts me in this yurt, and it's like in the middle of the woods, and this property has like a lot of like witchy woo stuff on it out there, and like I'm kind of like weirded out by that stuff a little bit, and like so I was kind of spooked. And this yurt that was in the middle of the woods, the door to it like didn't have a latch, like it didn't close, and it didn't have a lock, nothing. Like I had to like put stuff in front of it just to keep it closed. And I've had really strange experiences in the woods before, not in Oregon, but just like when I've been camping in the middle of nowhere and stuff. I've had like really strange things happen that like have really freaked me out and have kind of like, I have a little bit of like PTSD surrounding them for sure. So I'm usually very wary when I'm in the woods. And as I'm sitting in this yurt with no reception, I have my dog with me and I have some with me, but I'm in this yurt and it's getting darker, and as it's getting darker I just feel this sense of dread come over me because I'm in the middle of the woods. I'm like staying on this woman's property who like I don't know, and as it's getting darker, my dog, who had been like enjoying everything the entire day, he starts like looking at the door to this yurt and it's just growling. And my dog does not growl ever, but he is growling at the door and like whimpering and kind of like looking at me and looking at the door, and I'm like, what's happening? It's just getting darker and darker and darker, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight. And I had this feeling of dread coming over me, so I left all my shit there. I grabbed my dog, grabbed my purse, grabbed my and like hiked like 10 minutes back up to my truck, or not my truck because I had a rental car, the rental car, got back to the rental car and drove like 30 minutes north to like the nearest town that had an opening at a hotel. I get to the hotel, the TV doesn't work, there's no AC that's working, it was like a small hotel that had closed, so I had to go to like the bigger sister hotel to get even a key for my room, but they were gonna close soon too, so I almost like paid for this room and wasn't even able to get in, but I did get in, and it was horrible. It was genuinely horrible, and I just was like, this is not good, this is a bad sign. I called my mom, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm stupid, I shouldn't have came out here, this is ridiculous. The next morning, I wake up, and I'm like, oh my god, like, okay, I have to like get a hotel closer to where this rehab is, because I can't stay here, like I can't do it. So I go back in the morning, I pick up all my stuff, I text Michael's mom, and I'm like, hey, like, I got scared last night and I left in the middle of the night and I got a hotel, like, thank you for allowing me to stay, but I'm just gonna go get a hotel closer to where the rehab is so I don't have to make a long drive tomorrow. And she's like, okay, and I'm like, okay. So I leave and I go to this town that's like 45 minutes outside of where he's at. It's like July, so it's like tourist season in the Pacific Northwest on the coast, so like I can't get any cheap hotels, so I have to find a hotel that's like 45 minutes away. And I get there and I'm sitting in the hotel room, and I had called him, like, because he gets like 2 calls a day in the rehab, and I called him, I told him what happened, he was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, like, blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, like, I feel bad, I don't want your mom to like dislike me or think I'm like a pussy or something because I like left, but he made me feel better about it, I guess. So I'm at this hotel, I'm just sitting there, I don't really know what to do, and there's like a bar nearby. I end up going to this bar, and I end up befriending some people there, and I end up like partying with them all night. And I wake up the next morning, I'd only slept for like a few hours, and I was like, oh my god, now I have to get in my car and drive 45 minutes to this rehab to see him, and I'm like very hungover and like have not slept, and I feel like shit. The only good thing about this story is that I have been clean since this day. This was like, in 2 weeks I'll be a year clean, because I was like, wow, I almost jeopardized seeing somebody that I cared about so much because I was like partying and just like couldn't get myself to stop. So I've been clean since then. So that's like the only good thing that came out of this trip, is I realized, I was like, wow, like I can't do this anymore because like I don't have control over it, and I like jeopardized this situation. So yeah, but anyways, I end up getting there, and he's like waiting for me, and he made a sign, and he made like a bouquet of flowers that he had picked from like the flower pots around this rehab, and he gives it to me, and we have an amazing conversation. We're cuddly the whole time, and he's just like, I'm so sorry, and you're so amazing, and like, you know, like, we are together, and like everything has been worth it, and like he apologized for everything and acknowledged everything and took accountability for everything, and I was like, this was all worth it, this was like beautiful. And like to this day I look back on that moment and I'm like, yeah, that was beautiful, like it was amazing, it felt amazing, it was fucking awesome. And then I left and I drove back to my hotel and stayed the night, and then woke up the next morning and drove all the way back to Salt Lake City, 11 hours. And then we continued our relationship long distance while he was in rehab, and there were some blips, like him like using his phone calls to call his ex-girlfriend and talk to her rather than talking to me, and it was just like kind of weird, and like I felt like I wasn't allowed to be upset at stuff like that because he told me it was like controlling to like whatever. But yeah, so that was that. And then he has a plan to get out of rehab. He's gonna fly back to Utah to pack up all of his stuff, and we will pick it up from there.